Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
Friday, baby. Does anything else need to be said? It is Friday.
Exactly.
Yes. Welcome in. Sports Day, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Hope you guys are doing great out there. That's Derek Gunn. That's Barrett Brooks. I am Rob Ellis. What's up, Tyler, Duck, Adam, Chris D, John, Anthony, Ray? How you guys doing? Hope everybody's doing well out there. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Everybody on the stream. Everybody just listening, just hanging out, driving around, doing some honeydew stuff or some yard work, whatever the case may be, hanging out with us at work. We do appreciate it. How we doing, boys?
This happy April Fool's Eve.
April Fool's Eve. That is correct. Yes. Day before, man, and we're almost into April. Weather wouldn't tell you that where we're at, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's gonna be warm tomorrow, but really wet tomorrow. Really rainy.
Yeah, man.
I'm enjoying it though, man. Come on, man. I mean, we're heading into summer, so I'm good with it, man. I'm good with it.
Oh yeah, we're definitely headed the right way.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. It's time to get there. Time to get ready. Get your boats ready. Get them ready to get out in the water. Go in, take a look, overhaul your fishing rods. I got to go in my garage, do my spring cleaning in my garage, clean it up a little bit for, get started, man. This is the time what you prepare for the summer. This is preparation time.
Prep time. Yes, yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So,
man, I went out of my garage yesterday evening.
Yeah.
I wanted to cry, man. It looks like it's like a hurricane went through there, man. The
Tasmanian devil went through my garage, man. I got paint everywhere. I got
bags, pools, bicycles,
right.
Fishing. Oh my goodness, man. But I'm looking at this weather thing. Mother Nature's toying with us because they're talking about 72 tomorrow. Now it's up to 90% chance of rain. Then Sunday, 54. Then the next days after that go 68, 75, 74, 74, 57, 49, 57. Ooh. So Mother Nature's toying with us.
Yeah, it's that time of year, man. March and April in the greater Philadelphia area is a mixed bag of tricks, man. You don't know what you could get a stone cold winter freezing. Yesterday was freezing. I was out early yesterday morning around 8, and man, was it cold, right? And then
ridiculously cold.
Yeah, and then you could get 70, and it's like in the blink of an eye, and then go back to the same thing the next day. It's a weird time in our area, man.
They call it my grandma and my mom say this is pneumonia weather. This is when you catch that pneumonia.
Because you think you're good. You're out there, in a t-shirt or something, and yeah, boom, it hits. Yeah, I hear you.
Dude, I go out and about like the stores and stuff, and I'll see younger people walking around parking lots, in and out of stores, flip-flops on, no socks.
Yeah.
Shorts, cargo shorts, short skirts. I'm like, I got on a hoodie and a jacket, and I'm like, what? I didn't even do that when I was younger.
What you notice? It's always a guy. Like you rarely see a female in freezing cold weather dressed like that. They're obviously way smarter than men.
I'm seeing more of them, man.
But I can't you always see like a dude in shorts and flip-flops it's like 35 and you're like, really? You're not freezing? I'm bundled up like it's gonna be, Yeah.
No, you can't take cold weather, man. That's one thing about you. I mean,
I get
Look, hi, Mama Brooks. I got the blanket here. I got the whole thing, man. I don't mess around.
See, you guys are both in a basement, though, right?
That's true.
But see,
my basement is freezing.
I got an extra layer to me, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're losing that layer. You're losing weight.
Yeah. I am starting to get a little cooler too. You know what I mean? I'm starting to get, start feeling a little bit, but still.
Welcome to the skinny world, man.
No,
you're gonna be like a smaller guy. All of a sudden, that wind that little chill hits your bones. It takes you a little bit longer to loosen up and stretch the muscles out.
It's crazy that for 12 years, I would be out in sub-zero weather with no sleeves on, playing in the game. It's absolutely ridiculous. What was I thinking about? That tough guy, offensive line. We're tough. We don't need sleeves on. When people are, you could actually get frostbite from being out there. You know what I'm saying?
I always like, especially like games in Green Bay, and you could appreciate this because you played there. But like, it's a Monday night game, and the wind chill's -15, and dudes are out there in short sleeves. I'm like, this is they're just different breeds, man. The guys who handle that kind of stuff.
Like the receivers would do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Not just us, the receivers. Yeah. Like Aaron Donald. I mean, not Aaron Donald, but Donald Driver.
Yeah.
Donald Driver, he wouldn't wear sleeves. You know, he was out there. He was a Viking, man. He was feeling the same thing. You know, I'm out there one time, so they should outlaw games in Green Bay on Monday nights.
Just outlaw them in Green Bay, period.
Yeah, I've been there, done that, been there.
It's so cold, man, that you can't even, like, you sweat because you're running around. You sweat for a second. As soon as you take your helmet off, it instantly freezes. That's how cold it is out there. So we go out, we play in the game. We play in Minnesota. We go out on the field, and it's 12 degrees. 12 degrees. We go back in at halftime, and this is a Monday night game. We come back out, it's -7. -7, bro. I'm like, come on, man, -7. And you really don't even feel the difference between 12 and -7.
Yeah, right. At that point, yeah,
you're so cold. But I had sleeves on. Hold on, but so I go out the first half. I don't have any sleeves on. Yeah. I go out in the second half, and I got sleeves on. So as I'm going out on the field, my offensive line coach, Larry Bechtel, turns around, looks at me, and he's steaming. I said, all right. So I cut the sleeves off, and I went on back out. I cut them off, and I went on back out there. And I'm thinking to myself, so halfway through the second half, I go to Larry. I said, hey, Larry, you just told me to cut my sleeves off. You need to take that jacket off and take that hat off, man. Feel what I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm on the bench. I'm only going out there to special teams, goal line, tight end. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while, they have a big package where I play tight end, and I go in. I'm like, bro, I'm cold, man. I ain't got no jacket, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear that, Barrett. Get over there a bit. Get over there. You know, I'm like, come on, coach. Man. You tripping, man.
I hear you.
A lot of players make the mistake that think that when they come off the field, they run right over to those portable heaters, those blowers. And when you stand in front of those, your body sweats a little bit, and all of a sudden you get away from it. You're even colder because you got that sweat on you now that's chilling as well, and you go back out there in the field again. So it's like that. Chicago and Green Bay use that as an advantage. Now, obviously, it hasn't worked much in recent years for Chicago, but in Green Bay, for that matter, this past season. But that was always back in the day a psychological advantage over teams.
But you know what though? That psychological advantage. When I was in Detroit for 2 years, and we played Green Bay twice in Green Bay. It seemed like we always played them when it was cold weather. We never played them, when it was cool. Like we never played them in September.
Right.
Never played them in October. We only played them in November, December. Jeez. Long story long, it'd be snowing. We're in Detroit. We got an indoor. We can just go in indoor and practice. It's so cold outside in Detroit. It's got like 2 foot of snow on the field. We're out there practicing. Nobody's paying attention because everybody's cold. You can't see where the lines are. We're having a bad practice, man. Coach is getting pissed off and everything else. You know what I'm saying? And it worked out worse for us because we couldn't get anything accomplished. Here, the next year I go to Green Bay. I'm in Green Bay, bro. It could be one little lone snowflake coming down. And if Brett Favre saw it, we're in the indoor. We're in the indoor. And we go to the indoor. It could be 3 raindrops coming down. We're in the indoor. We never practiced in the elements. We were always in the inside.
That's crazy.
Like, how is this an advantage? And I went to Brett. I said, Brett, man, what's up with this, man? When I play everywhere else, we're practicing outside. So we think you guys are practicing. He said, brother, we never practice outside. That's all a mind game. We get stuff done. I'm thinking to myself, they get stuff done and they win because they're inside getting their plays down, everything. We're foolish on the outside. We're thinking they just outside practicing it, and they're not. You know what I'm saying? We never get anything done. This was an advantage for them.
Yeah. What is that?
What is that?
What are you building, man?
We got to do that every day. There's some kind of like sound, whatever the effect is that's going on.
I don't know why it's doing it because I'm not printing anything. It's my laser printer. What the heck?
Derek, man, what are you got going on?
It's either Siri on my phone responding to a word I say, or the printer. has a mind. I'm telling you, man, technology. You see these movies, all these crazy movies about technology coming to life and taking over your house or your business, and it's happening. It's happening. We don't know it. I mean, how many stories have we heard about? When you keep upgrading these iOSs on your phone, it gives the government, the man, more access to see what you're doing and all this stuff. And that we heard the stories when it came to computers. They can see you when you log onto your computer. I don't know what's true and what isn't, man. All I know is I got a phone that talks to me at any given moment, and a printer that got a mind of its own. I don't know what to believe anymore.
I think there's a lot going on. All right, so speaking of a lot going on, so today we have Jeff McClain from the Inquirer at 12:30. We'll talk to Jeff. Owners meetings just wrapping up. We'll talk to him about the Eagles. He's got a new podcast out, and he sits down with Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson recently of the extension. So we will talk to Jeff at 12:30. We'll hit some Phillies at 1 o'clock pretty heavily because that was a bummer yesterday, guys. It was one of those deals where you're so hyped for the season, you're so excited. They get up 5-0. They knock DeGrom out. You're like, oh my God, could this get any better?
The perfect storm.
And then implosion time in the bottom of the fourth inning, and they run. The Rangers run off a 9 spot on Aaron Nola. He gets knocked out. Soto comes in. He stunk, and they end up losing the game. I mean,
Rob emphasized the word stunk.
Oh.
Yeah.
He put an extra in there.
I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed at that game. I mean,
did you throw anything at the TV?
No, I'm not a thrower. I'm not sabotaging my own equipment.
Why break my stuff? I never understood that. Why break my stuff, man?
Yeah, I'm going to punch the TV. No,
right.
No,
right.
No.
That's why when you see all these videos after a team loses a big football game, you see the family sitting there, guy walks up, punches the TV, rips it off the wall, throw. I am not tearing up my TV over a game.
No.
I think 80% of those are fake anyway.
I do too. I agree.
But no, I'm with you. I never got. All right, let me compound your team losing by costing myself money by destroying my stuff. No thanks.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, it wasn't the Yankees. It wasn't the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Braves. It was the Rangers that scored 11 runs in 2 innings on this team's vaunted pitching staff.
Yeah. Yep.
That makes it even more. Now, granted, it's only one of 162. It's only one of 162. Better days are ahead, yes. But that first game, if it was like nip and tuck the whole game, back and forth, lead changes back and forth, okay. Phillies it was like, when it was 5-0, I'm thinking, man, this is the carryover from spring training.
Yep.
I mean, these boys bombing, man. I went outside. I came back in 6-5 Texas. I had to look at the screen twice. Went back outside again. 9-5. What? 9-5.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck happened here? But again, there's only one down, 161 to go.
Yeah, it's look, you're right. If DeGrom was great and you lost 2-1.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, what are you going to do? The guy's great. But you knock him out of the game. You got 6 extra base hits off of him. And he lasts 3 2/3 innings.
Yep.
And you lose. I mean, that's the frustrating part of this game.
Exactly,
I mean, it was tough. It was definitely tough. So we got the draft 28 days away, and this is, we'll dig into this with Jeff in a little bit heavier, but just gut right now. All right, 4 weeks out, basically less than 4 weeks, 4 weeks from yesterday. What's your gut saying? Barrett, what's your gut saying in terms of what they're going to do in the first round? Give me your gut right now.
I think they're going defensive line, and it's going to be either Nolan Smith, Carter, or the kid from Clemson. When I'm looking at it,
Miles Murphy.
Miles Murphy, that's his name, Miles Murphy. So I'm more than likely it's going to be Miles Murphy, because I think Carter, he's slipping. I'm looking at the stream. They're saying he's gonna slip a little bit. Yeah, he might slip, buddy, but he's not going to slip all the way to 10. I wish he would, but he's not going to slip all the way to 10. Nolan Smith and Miles Murphy will be there at 10. Which one do you take? Do you get the speed outside guy, the Hassan Reddick-esque type of player, or do you get the guy that's going to be a generational talent in Miles or Carter?
I think it's going to be. I'm feeling Nolan Smith, frankly. That's where I'm at.
Well, can you play like that and stop the run when you have 2 guys, versus the same size like that?
You're light. You're light.
Yeah.
You're light on the other
Yeah.
side of the ball too, especially if it's Jurgens and Kelsey. So you're going to be a lighter team. You could get pushed around in the trenches.
Well, that's where
And you're light at linebacker.
So you're light at 4 spots. You're light on both defensive ends and both linebackers.
That's worrisome.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't stop the run of all that talent they had this past year.
True.
What are you going to do with lesser talent, man?
Well, they won't be necessarily lesser talent. It'll just be smaller talent.
It's going to be different.
It'll be a different talent because I don't know if TJ Edwards. I don't know how much you'll lose once we get our linebackers in Nakobe Dean's young. Yes, he is young, but is he any less talent than TJ Edwards? I don't know if he's less talented. He's got less size, but I don't know about as far as talent.
Okay.
Reaction. He got experience over Nakobe Dean, and I think that's the biggest thing. And the only thing really, he has experience. If you look at Nakobe Dean, I think this kid is going to be a really good player.
Okay, I'm going to go off of something that you preached all season long about this Eagles Sasquatch offensive line against these smaller, faster defenses, okay? And you talked about how that offensive line would control and we saw it time and time again. When you talk about this Eagles defense getting smaller and faster, I'm not comfortable when you say that because you got some we talk about how good this Eagles offensive line is. There's 3, 4, 5 teams that got some pretty good offensive lines out there that can maul people.
Absolutely.
And Eagles play a few of them next year. Mm-hmm. And even an average offensive line, if they're big but not as talented as an Eagles line, bigger bodies move smaller bodies, right?
Yeah, well, that's what Chip Kelly said. Big bad guys.
People beat up little people.
That's right. And when you say that, I'm not comfortable if that's the case, because you're right. As we look at it right now, they are going to be smaller.
Yes, very much so smaller, Derek. I mean, that's the only thing that comes with speed. You got to be able to read and react fast. But if you get caught,
right,
a smaller guy, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You get caught up in the wash. So
I think they're look. There's a distinct possibility they could move down to 10, but I think they're definitely moving out of 30. I think that's the lock. 10, it depends.
I want to start this last day of March on a positive by saying, when you ask Barrett, what do you think they're going to do at 10? I've been adamant about a cornerback, but as I sit here on this last day of March at 12:19 p.m., I am agreeing with Mr. Brooks 100%. I think they're going to go D-line.
Yeah.
Let me recover for about 2 seconds.
Derek.
I think D-line or offensive line. I think either one is very much in play. I know Eagles fans aren't going to be happy with the offensive line part. I get it, but
I brought that up earlier in the week about offensive line, and JAKIB Sports Media played that clip on Twitter, and I'm waiting for people to go ballistic, but people were relatively calm about it. Yeah, I can see it happening too. It might make sense. Finding the heir apparent for Lane Johnson. So I was shocked at people, who love those sexy picks. I want that cornerback. I want that wide receiver. I want that running back.
You know why? You know why? Because they're tired of being wrong and thinking we're going to get those sexy picks. They now know the philosophy and believe in the philosophy that the Eagles are doing. It's worked
true.
Thus far. I just can't see him getting an offensive lineman simply because I don't think there is one that is worth that number 10 pick.
Okay.
The value of the number 10 pick. Now, if they trade back and get like maybe 15 and get one of those offensive linemen, I can see them doing that. And that would make sense. And the only reason I say that also is because you got Lane there for the next 3 years for sure. You got Lane there.
Yep.
And you got, got Jordan Mailata there for the next 4 years. I don't think they go in that direction because of that. But
right.
If you look at it, defensive line, we're pretty old at the defensive line. We're kind of up there with BG, and when you look at Fletcher, it's going to be tough to not come in and replenish the troops. They've got to get some guys in there. I like the young guys. They just acquired a new defensive lineman. What's his name? Street from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Now I don't remember him, but I saw a little bit of him last year. I didn't look at any film on him, but I remember watching the game, and he came in, and I said, "Man, he's kind of explosive. He gets up the field. He's a Milton Williams-esque type of player. The kid can play, man. Now, I can't believe Howard's ever get him. Like, he's one of those diamond in the rough type of guys that he plays a lot, but he had 3.5 sacks last year.
Yeah.
So given an opportunity to let him play a little bit, he may surprise a lot of people, man. A lot of people.
The thing is, in talking to a couple of people, he's a kind of player. He's an either or player. He either shows up one play or doesn't show up the next play. He's not been consistent.
Great
in terms of his play, of his overall play. And and that's why the Saints were willing to give up on him. He never really panned out to be what they thought he would be, which would be that run stopper in the middle.
Feast and famine type of guy.
Yeah, we're talking about Cantavius Street for people who aren't.
Cantavius Street. Yeah.
A lot of times he disappears in the mix of things. So he's a body. He will help in the rotation to give people breathers. He'll make a play here or there. But don't expect him to be the second coming of Javon Hargrave. That's not going to happen.
Right. So, like I said, him and Milton Williams. Iron sharpens iron, and those two will battle it out for who's going to be playing the most in that reserve position. Now, I like that. I like that. Not you're not just going to be handed a position. I like that.
Right.
And I want guys to be competing. I want this to be the most competitive. Locker room you can get. You want those type of guys in your system. So this will be eye-opening to me, because when you get in a position where you got smaller guys like they have, you got to be explosive up front, and that's what you have with Milton Williams. That's what you have with Street. But then after that, it's tough. It's still slim pickings. Jordan Davis. I like Jordan Davis, but Jordan Davis' sole role is not to be a guy that's going to be in the stat role. It's not, he's not going to be in the stat line. He's not going to have a lot of stats. So if you're looking for him to have, 5 sacks, 6 sacks during the year, you're barking up the wrong tree. But if you look to him to be a guy that, I wish they had assist for tackles, not like not like a half a tackle assist like that, but someone assisted. He takes up 3 blockers, and then somebody else goes and makes the play because of that. You know what I'm saying? You don't see those type of things in the stat line, but that's the role he's going to play in this defense. He's going to gobble up blockers, which allows somebody else to go out there and make a play.
It makes sense. Look, he's an occupier.
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
More than anything else.
I don't want to see what happened in the Super Bowl where he got walled off and just pushed to one side continuously. He, obviously they've got to study the tapes there and find a better way to use his body type in terms of being that immovable road grader.
Yeah.
Because that was too easy what I saw Kansas City do to him. Yeah, and let's face it, it's a copycat league. Other people see this stuff. They start doing some of the same things, and then we're all screaming about Jordan Davis being a bust. I don't want to see that happen, but that was shocking what I saw that last game of the season from Jordan Davis. Now, if he's talking about getting lighter and he's still got to be as stout, brought in here to be that dude that plugs the gaps so other people can make plays, then they've got to find – the coaching staff, training staff has got to find that right balance so that, number one, losing that weight doesn't affect his strength and stamina, but yet he's still – that rock of Gibraltar in the middle.
Yeah, they said, the kid, would he run a 4.8, 4.7?
4.7, 4.8. Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's huge at 3.14. That's absolutely incredible, bro, to be able to move and, get up the field and that with that speed. If he comes back in shape and ready to rock and roll, even then, I can't see him being a guy that's going to have that many sacks. You usually, when you're that big, you don't get a lot of sacks. It's easier to block a big guy, but it's also harder to move a big guy like that.
Hey, Barrett, our producer Tone has a good question. You said, Barrett, if that's Jordan Davis's sole role, was he overdrafted? Ooh.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
So you taking a guy where they took him, he needs to also get to the quarterback too.
Well, I knew that he wasn't going to be that guy. That's why if you go back when our show first started, and we talked about Jordan Davis, I said he is not the optimal guy to play in the defense that we play. He wasn't that guy for me. He never was that guy for me. If we look through the draft and all my predictions and everything else, go back and look at the film. Go back and look at the tape. I was not a big fan on drafting Jordan Davis. After they did it, I'm like, all right, well, if I'm like, all right, they're really changing the scheme. They're really going to go out there and play a 3-4 or a 50 defense. That's what it was, 50 defense. They're going to play a 50 defense, meaning the head up guy over the center, the nose, is going to be a guy like Tony Saragusa, a guy like Casey Hampton, somebody you just can't move, a Vincent Wilfork type of player. And then you cover the the guards with tackles that can get up the field and move. So I was like, okay, then that's why they're doing this. I'm good with the pick because they're going into a real 30 front or 50 front. So I was good with it. So now I am still good with it, but I won't be good with the pick. And I think it'll be he's drafted too high if they go into a system where they're trying to get up the field and one gap and create havoc that way. Because then you just wasted it. You wasted the pick in last year's draft because of it. If you're playing one gap, like when you play those like Vincent Wilfork, Saragusa, Casey Hamptons, those guys are two gap players, meaning they're going to take the guys in front of them, press them, and look on either side and see where the ball is going, read and react. While he's reading and reacting, he's pressing the guy into the backfield. That's what he is. He's not a guy that's going to take one gap, get on the field, and go. That's Milton Williams' job, Fletcher Cox, Hargraves. That's what those guys do. Okay. He's not that guy. So he's not fitting the system if they are going in like they did last year. He's not going to fit the system.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's get a timeout. Let's continue this. We'll keep this conversation going with Jeff McLean when we come back. Plenty to dig into with him, with the owners' meetings, et cetera. So we'll do all that when we return. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I'm going to tell you right now about Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Yes, thrilled that they are a part of the show, man. And guess where I'll be heading for dinner tonight? Yes, it will be Bravo Pizza of Havertown. I've literally been going there since I was a kid. Family owned since 1985. Alex and the great crew, they're open 7 days a week, and the food is fresh every single day. There's no carryovers, nothing sitting under that heat lamp. No, they are fresh every single day. They offer 20 different styles of pizza daily. They have slices, and I'm going to go get it upside down. That's where I'm headed. But they also give you the option of specialized pizza your way. You call up, you tell them what kind you want, they'll make it for you. But they have 20 different styles alone on top of that. Not just pizza, by the way. Fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings, salads. Bravo's also committed to the community. They have fundraisers for charities, schools, little leagues. Proceeds go to those organizations. You could follow them on Instagram and Facebook for specials and promotions at the Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Bravo Pizza of Havertown, 1305 Westchester Pike in the Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown. The number 610-446-3810, 610-446-3810. Guess what? I'm telling you what it looks like. Why don't you check it out for yourself? Here's a little sampling of what goes on at Bravo Pizza.
Welcome to Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Come in, guys.
Para speaker na.
Yeah.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Imagine for a moment that you went to work today and when you came home, you were catastrophically injured. Your life and your family's life. That's what happened to union construction worker Mike Little.
I was scared of what the end was going to be, but to be 100% honest with you, I knew I was going to be all right just by talking with Brian. In my heart, I just knew everything was going to be all right.
Call the firm and find out why they say, "We got this." Call 215-458-2222.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
My name is Fran Salerno. I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
We're back. Happy Friday, everybody. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks. We are joined now by the man who covers the Philadelphia Eagles for the Philadelphia Inquirer. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeff_McClain, and also has just started a new podcast, Uncovering the Birds. Jeff, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
I like the setup, man. Is that at the house or you at a
No,
studio?
I'm actually down at Odyssey. We have to Odyssey to work on this podcast a little more. So
That's what's
I
up,
might
man.
be bumping into you
Congrats.
down there, Jeff. That's good, man. It's good.
yeah.
Tell us about it. What's going on with Uncover. I know Lane Johnson, I believe, was the first guest. Is that correct? Or this week's guest, Jeff?
Well, yeah. So it's a narrative series podcast. So we're telling stories. Some of them may be stories that or characters, players from the past. In the first case of the premiere episodes on Evan Mathis, he talks about his gambling addiction and this new venture that he has. That's basically, well, he lost like 60% of his net worth at one point to gambling. He's now invested basically all of his money into this market. He has an app that's going to be coming out that's going to try to corner the market on the secondary card sales. Like baseball cards, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we got to go into like a little bit of Evan's career, some pretty funny, mind-blowing stuff that he had to say. If you guys want to listen to the first episode, second episode, Lane Johnson about his mental health struggles, but also just about his kind of love-hate relationship with football, even in spite of the fact that he just signed a contract restructure, as you guys know. And then episode 3 is gonna be about Chip Kelly.
Whoa. Okay.
We got a lot of different voices on that one, and so we'll hit 10 episodes this first season. This is something new, so we're kind of learning as we go. We got obviously some pros that are helping me with it, but It's something I'm really enjoying, and it's like a narrative series. Like they're going to be about like 20 to 30 minutes. I think the Lane one today was like 34 minutes, but generally in that range. Not bite size, but not over an hour and a half. Something you can listen on the train ride into work or.
Right.
So yeah, excited about it.
That's awesome.
Found out, man, that a lot of people, the shorter the podcast, the more people listen. Our attention spans are so short nowadays. If you keep it in like a 20 to 35-minute range, people are inclined to listen to the entire thing more than a lot of people that do hour and a half podcasts.
Right, and that's the whole point. I mean, this is very much edited, just like writing a story. It's you try and take as much of the best parts that you can, and in this case, produce a podcast to the length that it deserves. Just as I try and write stories to the length that they deserve. Some may say that I write a little too long, but thankfully, I have a great producer here in Brian Seltzer who helps kind of tighten it. We can keep it at that, as you mentioned, a really good, I think, sample of in terms of how long it goes from. We're gonna try and keep them no less than 20, no more than, I guess we went 34. That's pretty long. I think the Chip Kelly one maybe getting close to 40. We got a lot of different voices on that one.
Yeah.
Coaches.
Everybody got a lot to say about Chip.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and a little bit of Chip, because I spoke to Chip a couple months ago about Dom DeSandro's story. I did the Eagles head security, and we kind of at one point dovetailed into a conversation about just how it was to be, dueling with each other as head coach and me as a reporter, kind of pain in his side all the time. So that kind of got you'll hear some of that in the podcast, and then we kind of delve into like a little bit of almost a re-examination, I think, of Chip's tenure.
Hey Jeff, be careful what you say about Dom. He's got people that'll come looking for you. I don't want to see you go missing.
Dom loved that story.
Oh man,
I'll give you this, Jeff. And let me ask you, was it hard? And I know you obviously covered other Penn State, some other stuff before you got on the Eagles beat. I know that, but you are a guy, and I mean this is in the highest of compliments, that is not afraid to ask the tough question, that will mix it up a little bit, get under their skin. You're not just there to to kiss ass, frankly.
You like to piss people off, rather.
No, I'm not saying he likes to do it, but he's not afraid to do it. There is a difference, right?
I've seen it firsthand.
Right. Was that ever? Have you always looked at it like, hey man, I got to do what I got to do to get the best story, to be the best reporter? Was it ever tough on you to some of the heat you may take from the organization, and not just the Eagles, whoever? Was that ever hard for you to be able to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, at times, that it's part of the job. I mean, you considering how much I get paid, maybe it's something I shouldn't take so seriously as I do. And all the kind of blowback that you'll get from time to time. I mean, I don't want to get too much into detail. I'll save that for my memoir, because I don't want to name names and some of the heat that I got behind the scene, because typically, again, that's what happens. I mean, there's a lot of what I call inside baseball in terms of how you deal with the PR staff or people in charge of the Eagles. And, which is why when I got thrown out of the press box, 6 years ago now, or 7 years ago now, for what is now everyone has realized was just one person had an issue with me and just wanted to use their authority to kind of, knock me down a peg. What happened was that was just like a conversation I was having with one of the other PR guys, something that we had. It's like something that is Gunnar knows this as well as anybody. Yeah. This stuff happens behind closed doors all the time. And it just never sees the light of day. And, I've had obviously some instances with other reporters that would have never seen the light of day, because unless other people put it out there, because that stuff just happens, and it's not meant for public consumption. And that again applies to the relationships you have with people in the locker room, the Eagles. I've had guys in the locker room try and to yell at me, flip out on me, at times, to the point where it's gotten pretty contentious. But I will say this, and the thing that I'm learning about myself as I've done this now, kind of looking back at older stories that I've written. And I almost cringe at some of the stuff I wrote, because I feel like I'm just just like in terms of like how I covered guys. And this Lane Johnson story is a perfect example of that. I really try and do a better job of like putting myself in the shoes of people I cover. And I mean, you should always do that as a journalist. That's what you want to get, as many voices as you can on a particular topic as possible, because you want to tell as close to the accurate and fair, honest version of the truth. That's basically what I'm striving to do when I'm reporting. I want to get as close to the truth as I possibly can. Am I ever going to get there completely? Probably not, but I'm going to try my best. And to do that, you have to get voices, talk to everybody, put yourself in the shoes of the people you're writing about. I feel like I try and humanize these guys more. I enjoy doing that more because that's what they are. They're humans, just like the rest of us. And they go home, except for Howie, and they go home to family. Kidding, Howie. I know you're listening to this right now.
What's up, Howie?
Howie's a little bit of a robot. No, I'm kidding. No, he has a family too, and he's got kids, and you know,
sure,
and you know, like I know for a fact that things got pretty bad. Like I wrote stories that probably weren't 100% favorable in terms of what, but they were always never personal. They were always about the job and what he did.
Yep.
But that being said, I know, and you know, you guys go on the radio, you criticize and stuff like that. But I know, like I'm sure I've heard about this. You know, his kids getting crap at school for their dad, or like I mean. He's had some pretty things have kind of filtered down to him in terms of like where the police had to get involved. Let me just put it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's that's real life here.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as I get older now, I just kind of I'm getting better at doing that and trying to humanize these guys and understand that there's more to it than just like looking at a guy on film or hearing what telling you about someone and putting it out there. Sorry, long
you
way.
You know what, Jeff? The biggest difficulty or hurdle to overcome in a lot of cases is when you're a regular beat guy in their faces. At some point, they perceive you as one of them or more as a friend, more so than an adversary, and they forget real quick that you do have a job to do to be as fair and objective as possible. And then it does again. I've had that happen many times. You know, where you have to explain yourself and what you did. Now, eventually, you know, cooler heads prevail and things subside, but you have to go through that. And again, you know, I like what you said because I've abided by that principle as well. Never make it personal, number one. And let's face it, there are certain things that we find out we cannot tell. Now, eventually, some of those things may come out, but somebody else is going to release that, not us, because they're releasing it from afar. We have to be in that locker room every day. And that's a big difference, you know, especially when you're trying to gather information and be a little bit different from the 50 other people and trying to gather the same information you are.
Yeah. I mean, just a real quick to touch on the Lane story. You know, I remember when and Gunnar, you were involved in this too, when he left, you know, wasn't there on the field for that city game in 2021. And of course, my job is to find out what happened. Call sources, text my sources, find out what happened. It didn't take long. By the next day, I pretty much had a very good handle on what was happening here. His mental health issues had come to fore. He was dealing with a lot of anxiety and deep depression from the fact that he had this horrible ankle injury and that he was also trying to wean himself off Paxil, the antidepressant that he was taking. He was considering quitting football. He drove all the way back home to Oklahoma. Was telling me it wasn't. But like, you know, this is a human thing. It was Lane's story to tell. And I wasn't the only one. A lot of the other reporters found this out as well. And I remember you'd get stuff on Twitter like, we need to hear this. You need to tell us this, you know, because and you know, yes, in some cases that, we do have to put that aside if there's something real important. But again, I'm not covering the president of the United States. Let's be clear. And so that's why none of us reporters dropped any hint or wrote about that until Lane decided he went on. He chose Fox to tell his story. But after that, after the game he played against the Raiders, he was more than accommodating and stood out in the front of the podium and talked to everybody. And after it, individually thanked every reporter. They handled it.
Yeah, I commend you for that, and because sometimes you know the story. Like I know because I'm a former player, I have those conversations that you're talking about with players that I can't divulge what I'm talking to them about because they're looking at me like a player and not as media right now, and I find it hard for me to make that distinction. And I mean, I go to these two all the time about how do I separate what I need to say and also keep the relationships that I have with these guys, man. So it's tough for me, man. I don't see how you do it. It's tough for me.
Yeah, same thing for the reporters. Probably harder for you guys, just because ex-football players, because there is kind of a code. Especially the guys. You have to go on TV, but you have to kind of keep it real as well too. You're gonna have to be critical at times, as long as you're being fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
I found out. I had an instance where I was, covering a play, and when the play happened, I know, basically, a screenplay is a screenplay, and I know, the rules have been the rules for years. And on the screenplay, the first guy that gets out on the screen has the widest. Has the mugger. The mugger's the guy that has the back man to man. The second guy out on the screen has the widest guy on the field. The third one checks back and turns around to see what's going on. Nobody's chasing it, and then gets up the field. Well, what happened was the first guy out didn't get the guy he was supposed to get. He was supposed to get the guy who was covering the back, and that guy made the play for a loss. And I said, this was this player's job to get this done. He didn't get it done. That's why the play happened, yada, yada, yada. So I go to the locker room 2 days later and say, hey, man, the players just went, hey, man, why are you going to say that, man? You don't know what you're talking about. I said, what do you mean I don't know what I'm talking about? Well, how do you know what I play? I said, it's a screenplay, right? Yep, slow screen, right? To the running back, right? I said, the first guy out gets the mugger, right? Were you the first guy out? Yeah, but I went to the wide. I said, so you messed up on that play. You were wrong on the play. You were supposed to get the mugger. So, yeah, but I'm like, all right, am I lying? If I'm lying, then you tell me I'm a liar. I'll go back and retrack it. But am I lying right now? No. So what are you talking about? Where are we going right now? I know you pissed off because you messed up a play, but don't get mad because I just told the truth. Now I got to tell the truth, but and me and that player, we're cool now. But it was a thing for a little minute. It was definitely.
What's his name?
We'll see a tweet from Jeff in like 5 minutes as soon as he gets Jeff, let me ask you, just football-wise, we're close here to the draft, not that far out. Is it possible to get a sense for this? Because they're sitting there at 10-30. We know the proclivity to trade up and down that Howie has. We know he's aggressive draft night, those kind of things. We know they have needs, but there's the debate of need versus best player available. I guess long way of asking this. Do you have a sense of kind of where they may be going here if they stay pat, so to speak, or is it totally wide open?
I mean, I have to go just based upon history of what they typically do in the first round, or what they typically do with high picks. I mean, if you're asking me, like, stay there, pick a player, move up, move back. I mean, I would probably think that move back is so they can accumulate picks would be probably the number one thing I could see Howie doing. That being said, if there's a great impact player there at number 10 that had fallen to them, certainly I could see, or if someone like, that should have gone in the first 3 picks, and because all the quarterbacks go in the top 5 picks and they fall, and all of a sudden there's this great guy there at number 7, I could see him moving up too. Howie's Howie's MO is almost kind of like swim against the current. I mean, he wants to find edges, and so he has to look at those 2 first-round picks and say, hey, what's the best thing I can do that kind of gives me an advantage over what everyone else is doing? We know it's a copycat league. He wants to do what everyone will eventually start copying from him, based upon what he's done, whether in the draft, et cetera. Now, look, again, if they pick a 10, D lineman probably, right? I mean, maybe Richardson, a cornerback. I can see him. I don't think they've ever taken a cornerback that high. But obviously O-line, D-line would probably be the most likely ones you see them take there. Again, I think cornerback is probably certainly in play. But not a running back, we're talking 10, not a running back, not a probably not a receiver. They don't really need a receiver. Quarterback, obviously, no. Tight end, no. Linebacker, no. Safety, no. So that leaves us.
Corner.
D-line, probably more. O-line, they're not.
All right, O-line. Let's go O-line for a second. They just locked extended Lane. We know that. Lane's not young. Kelsey's not young. We know Juergens is there on standby, either at guard or at center when Kelsey leaves. Is that a possibility if there's a guy that they love that they would grab? Because we were talking about it earlier. If the fans won't love it, but that's very Eagles-esque.
Yeah. And maybe a guy that has some versatility. You always want to have versatility guys. And then, of course, if Kelsey retires and I guess you map it out, Jurgens moved to center. That leaves a hole at right guard. You get someone that by his second year, he could start at right guard. And then potentially once Lane retires, slide over the right tackle and play. But, because again, I think what people tend to do sometimes when they look at the roster and they have guys in, like even look at the edge rusher position. Hassan Reddick, great year. Josh Sweat, very good year. And these guys are, I think, like 28, 29 around there. But they're only signed really guaranteed for a couple years. Like, so you can't be thinking, oh, I'm gonna have Hassan Reddick forever. No, the Eagles don't think that way. They only think like maybe 1 year, or maybe 2 years on certain cases, unless it's the quarterback position, or like the left tackle position. You got a young left tackle like Jordan Mailata. But a lot of those other positions, they're not thinking that way. They're thinking if the best guy available is happens to be at left edge, then they're gonna draft him, even though they have Hassan Reddick.
Hey Jeff, let's look at what has transpired during the offseason. We haven't had a chance to talk to you. They lose their top 5 tacklers on defense to free agency. But when you look at the people they were able to bring back, they brought Bradbury back and lesser money he could have made on the open market. Mm-hmm. Graham could have made more money. Fletcher Cox could have made more money. They reworked Slay's deal. They didn't give Slay what he wanted, but they reworked his deal to make him happy. Are you surprised they were able to bring that nucleus back?
No, not really. I mean, like Howie said, he was a little surprised by it. I mean, I thought CJ and Hargrave would be the number 1 and 2 guys that they would try and bring back. And then as I did more digging on CJ, I realized why his market had dropped so low and why the Eagles weren't really dying. I mean, they gave him an offer initially more than would have gotten. But then I think the relationship all of a sudden just kind of turned sour when that kind of negotiation, he said, "Oh no, I'm going to go look for more." And he went out and he couldn't find more. And then,
Well, what did you find out? I don't know what you found out. I didn't find out anything. What did you find out?
CJ. So, I mean, like, teams around the league view him as a risk, and that if he had gotten this big contract, they weren't sure how he would behave. Would he do all the necessary things that he needs to do, like he had been doing this past year? There was concerns about that. Fair or not, I don't know if it's true. I mean, I look, CJ didn't talk to a lot of the guys in the locker room. For some reason, he kind of took, I would think, I wouldn't say a liking to me, but he kind of would, I would get him alone for certain conversations. So I wrote some stories about him. I liked him. I thought he was a pretty bright guy. He's definitely a little bit of a wild card at times. And I think, as I found out at that time and then later, it takes a little more handling of CJ than maybe, like a Darius Slay. He's a young guy, though, very talented. You have to consider where he's coming from, his background, his childhood, how he grew up too. But look, there was a reason why the Saints wanted to trade him and only took essentially a 5th round pick in return. They were not getting along with him. And okay, say that's just the Saints. But then I started calling around other GMs and said, why isn't CJ getting more than what I'm hearing he's getting? And they're like, teams all view him as, again, this potential risk once he gets this big contract. Now, that could just be like, whisper down the lane, and all of a sudden it's like groupthink and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They might get it wrong. CJ is a really good instinctive player. Now, I will say this. I don't think he's like some stud safety. He was just new to the position. He had impact plays as in terms of the 6 interceptions in 12 games. But if you watch the film and I spoke to some coaches stuff like that, they're like, he makes some mistakes. I mean, so that's
his run fits and where he's supposed to be.
And then sometimes in coverage, he just didn't know didn't know how to play whatever kind of leverage they were asking of him or whatever. So, but that was some of that, can in time. But that's essentially what I found about CJ.
That's interesting. Jeff, I know you got to run, but we appreciate you giving us a couple minutes.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you,
stuff, man. We always like talking to you, Jeff. Thank you very much, man.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, man. Be good.
You got it. That is Jeff McClain, Philadelphia Inquirer. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeff_McClain. I don't want to say this like tooting our own horn, but this is something that I enjoy that we do, guys, because it's not just always X's and O's. I like learning about people's jobs and how they go about it and how they do things. Like, Gunnar, you're great with that when you talk about your sources. And Barrett taking us inside the game. And like the example you just gave when you talked to a player and then the guy was mad at you and you said, all right, well, let's go through it. Right. Like, I don't think you get a lot of that at other places. And again, I'm not trying to like pull a rotator cuff, doing this for us, but I do like that we do that kind of stuff where it's not just always, all right, let's break down, what happened on 3rd and 5. Like, you learn about things. I thought we learned some stuff there with Jeff. That was
question,
cool.
especially as far as with CJGJ. We had said a long time. I know that we spoke on it, and I was saying that yes, I want to sign him back, but we probably haven't scratched the surface of how good he could be at the safety position.
Yeah,
but I was like telling people, he's not the best safety that's out there right now. Just like right now, I'm getting a lot of slack right now. There's people talking about, well, we just went out there and we signed Edmonds. Edmonds is a better safety at this point than CJGJ. Right. And people are like, oh, what do you do? You don't know what to tell? No, I do know what I'm talking about. I watched the film. CJGJ is not, he wasn't as fundamentally sound as what you would need for an everyday safety. Mm-hmm. Yes, he made plays. I'm not taking anything away from that. He made 6 interceptions. That was great. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Right place, right time, made it happen. But a lot of people forget about how against Detroit, they were running all over us. And a lot of times it was his fit that wasn't there that they ran the ball on. Or, he was supposed to do this.
He's still learning the position, right?
Exactly. He just learned the position. Yep. Doesn't mean he's a bad player, but he hadn't learned how to be a safety. Terrell Edmonds knows how to be a safety. Right. He will be where he's supposed to be. He will make plays. He will play the safety position like the safety that you would say been there their entire career. Yeah. So you're going to get a better safety play from Terrell Edmonds right now. Now, later on, I don't know. Right. CJJ, he might climb up and become a great safety. But at this point, we have a better safety in Terrell Edmonds right now.
Well, I think so. I think there's 3 things at play. 1, he's learning the safety position. 2, it's safety. You don't get paid as much at safety as you do at corner. You just don't, right? And 3, there is concern. Like, I see people in the chat taking it completely the wrong way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What Jeff was saying is, and Jeff said his experience with him was great, by the way. So, but he said that's what the concern is of teams. If he's not on the last year of his deal where he has to be on his best behavior, you're not quite sure exactly what you're going to get from him.
Right.
And that stuff happens. Now, is some of that you put it out there to sully the waters a little bit? Maybe to get him cheaper or whatever your agenda is.
Gamesmanship, yes.
That stuff happens all the time.
See, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised one bit. They went the route they did with CJ after stuff started trickling out that I just listened to, but again, you can't talk about until somebody else says it. He has talent, but he's considered like a loose cannon in a lot of ways. Doesn't mean he's a bad player or he just hasn't been reined in yet, in terms of, okay, this is what you're expected to be. You can't always be what you want to be.
Yes, exactly.
And it takes time. And sometimes it's harder to rein in young players, one young player more so than another young player. I think right now he's hurting himself more than he's helped himself. And he's in his prime of his career in terms of what he can accomplish. Did he make that transition? Yes. He struggled a little bit early on, but he settled in by the halfway point of the season and played great football until he got hurt. Him and his representation should have identified that and used that as their MO to market himself during the offseason. Yeah. But all of a sudden the word gets out. And as you guys know, because it happens in our business, when the word gets out about you, you cannot defend yourself to everybody.
Right. And Derek, here's part of the problem. All you did was reinforce that with all the nonsense you pull on social media.
Yep.
With your agency tweeting out, what the Eagles offer was and all that stuff. Like, you're not helping yourself. You're feeding into what everybody already, the pre-existing thoughts on you. Just lay off, man. Lay off the send button. That's all I can say.
A lot of times young people don't realize that a year from now comes a lot quicker than you think. If he had just ridden off into the sunset, gone to Detroit, said all the right things, maybe some general perspectives of him would have changed. But because he started firing shots across the bow, people say, yep, I'm glad we didn't touch him. Right. And see, that could hurt him. See, he's on a 1-year prove-it deal. That could hurt him both where he is right now and future opportunities next year when he's up again, still in the prime of his career, for possible another big payday, because people are afraid of what he could do in that locker room, being a disruptive factor in that locker room.
No question.
I'm good with him being around Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's a guy that can make things happen. He's going to make sure he steadies that ship and make sure he gets him under control. And like I said, I like the kid. I like the way he plays. I like how instinctual he is. I like how explosive he is as a player. But if you ask me, did we upgrade at that position? I'm going to say, yes, we did upgrade. We upgraded to a real safety. Are we better than we were last year at the safety position? No, we're not. We're not nowhere near as, as competitive as we could be. So you got a steady Eddie instead of a guy that can go out there and make splash plays every other play. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we are better for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I liken him to like a Kyle Schwarber, right? The upside is he's going to hit bombs.
Exactly.
Right. And then there's strikeouts, and there's whiffs. And you have to really go back, and I'm not doing the whole, hey, you got to watch film. I'm just saying, if you go back and look at the film, you see he's in the wrong spot at times. He doesn't know where he's supposed to be. And part of that, I'm not knocking him necessarily. He's still learning.
Exactly.
But the fact remains he's still a converted corner playing the safety spot in the NFL, which he's trying to figure out. And
you can't do
you
just can't put Terrell Edmonds on a big time slot receiver and not think that he'll beat. He's a safety. He's not a cornerback. But you could put CJ there because he's a cornerback. But then you put him back there in space, and he's got to make sure he covers the hook. A lot of times he'll be out of sequence and won't be covering the hook. He might be in deep thirds instead of covering the hook that's underneath. Those are things that come with having a player that's just learned a position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's look. Let's get back to some of the things we were hitting there with the Eagles. We'll keep rolling with the Eagles a little bit, and we'll push the Phillies down to 130 because I think there's some interesting stuff we didn't quite dive into yet, which we'll do when we come back. But good stuff there, guys. All right, that's Derek, that's Barrett, I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network on this Friday. Yes. All right, let's talk a little bit about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances can be a very scary proposition. I was at the front of the line, right? But I can tell you from personal experience that Jim is someone that you can trust, and he will be worth the investment in him, okay? Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You might have a small business and you need help with your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim can assist you with. I know personally I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers to Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751. 610-996-4751. You can also email him as well, Murray, MURRAY, .jim@principal.com. That's Murray.jim@principal.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
As long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross. Is the best vacation one that you find, or one you get lost in? One that takes you to new heights, or reminds you to go with the flow? To get your feet wet and your wheels spinning? One that lets you find your own rhythm, or get carried away? Find the best of yourself. Get lost in the woods. Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Plan your day with confidence.
Keep the umbrellas on hand.
With Action News and AccuWeather.
Numerous tornadoes.
Your go-to team when severe weather strikes.
The water is still rising.
Keeping you prepared wherever you watch. Action News and AccuWeather, the team you trust.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask. including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
As a hardworking American, you've never experienced how tough life can be until now. A catastrophic injury while working on the job. A personal injury from someone else's negligence. Turned away by other law firms in the region who didn't bother to learn your story. It's time to meet the Fritz & Bianculli Law Firm and managing partner Brian Fritz. Badly injured? Call the Fritz & Bianculli Law Firm. Find out why they say, "We got this."
We're back. Yes, we are on this Friday. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis hanging with you. Apropos of nothing, did you guys see the video of the dude who was at Dodger Stadium, who got onto the field and was proposing to his girl? So if you didn't see it, this guy somehow he's in like kind of center field, right, Gunner? Right around.
Yeah, left center, I believe it was.
Left center-ish.
Yeah.
So he's out there. He sort of like pulls out shows everybody he's got a ring. Then he's just like going to a knee, and this security guard trucks this guy. Like he gets blown.
What?
Man.
Oh, yes.
Whoa.
Rob, you know the first thing I said was, that dude should be playing inside linebacker for the Eagles.
I'm telling you, man.
I mean, this dude put a shoulder into his dude on one knee and basically ran right through him.
What? What is it? What is it? What is it?
Do a search for just do like a Google search for proposal Dodger Stadium or something like that. But the other thing I thought, Gunner, as soon as I'm thinking this is just my warped mind, right? Like, did the ring go flying out of his hands? Did he lose the ring in the outfield? Like, how much did that cost you if you do lose it? Like all those kind of things, man. And did we ever find out did she say yes, or was she just mortified that the guy even tried that?
That we don't know, but the thing is, it's unique.
She said yeah.
But she did say yes.
Okay.
So a lot of people look for unique ways to propose. I get that, but now you're banned from the stadium probably for the year. Okay, you're arrested. You're arrested for trespassing.
Yep.
Did you really need that on your record?
And,
really?
And it's like that's all anybody's gonna ever talk about with you're the guy. That was your husband, that was your fiance.
Dude, you got freight trained.
Yeah, man. He got blown to bits.
He put his shoulder.
I'll tell you, it was classic form tackling, man.
Bro, he didn't even. I mean, I'm talking about full hip placement, everything. He exploded through it.
My man had to have played football at some point.
Bro, I'm getting up. I'm whooping his ass.
Straight
up, bro. The security guard.
Yeah, but see, by the time you think about whooping him, 5 more security guards, 5 on you. Exactly. So you ain't even gonna get the swing on the dude.
Yeah.
But I thought about this.
He'd have to give one. I'd give him one. He'd have got one.
You know how you go through tackling drills at football practice when they tell you to lunge into the dummy bag?
Yeah.
And put your shoulder into the dummy bag. Turn your head to the side. Put your shoulder into the dummy bag. That was textbook. That security guard made a textbook dummy bag tackle on that dude, man.
It was unbelievable.
All you got to do is look up Cleveland Browns game, and what's his name? Harris. Bruh, when I say James blew
Harris.
This guy up,
yep.
Bruh, I'm talking about dude ran on the field and he's running around. He looks at our quarterback and starts running towards the quarterback. And James walks on the field. When I talk about slams him, he picks him up. Boom. Boom. It slams him in the turf. I mean, dude was like, yo. He said he never felt like that in his life.
No.
He destroyed him. Just look it up. Look it up one time. James Harrison, Cleveland game.
Yeah.
Cleveland fan. James Harrison, Cleveland fan.
That's the last guy. I mean, seriously, that's probably the last guy I want to cross. Especially when he was still in his prime. Man. Thank you, man. No.
He was in his prime then too.
Yeah.
It's bad enough when he hits you and you see it coming.
Yes.
But when he blindsides you, it's like your soul leaves your body for a few seconds and then re-enters after your body realizes what just happened. You know, James Harrison, man, the fact that this man he reminds me of a bigger, more tenacious version of Levon Kirkland. When the Steelers drafted Levon Kirkland, everybody thought, man, this is the biggest inside linebacker I've ever seen in my life. Levon Kirkland was a big boy. Well, a great dude, but a big dude, man. James Harrison was bigger and solid muscle, just chiseled muscle, man. When he hits you, your body reverberates. I've seen that man make people come to tears.
And he got him from behind too. When he slammed him, and dude, I'm talking about, and he finishes him down like this to hold him down to make sure he doesn't get up.
Yeah,
I'm looking at him like, yo, this is crazy. And the offense,
was it really worth it? Was it really worth it for your 10 seconds of fame?
No, first of all, he almost split his head open. That's number one. And then number two, he's going to get arrested. So it means you got your ass kicked, and the police are going to kick your ass.
I hear you, man.
That's a no situation.
Yeah, it's not a fun day. Not a day I'm looking to have. So you look at it. We were talking about the defense. I just want to stay on the Eagles' defense for a minute. So you've lost Hargrave, CJ, GJ, Edwards, Epps, White. Sort of the main pieces from. Am I missing anybody? Tell me. But from the defensive side of the ball, right? Am I missing anybody?
Right.
I think that's kind of the main.
Yep.
So where they are right now, and I think we'd all agree that it's. You definitely don't discount an offensive lineman, but it's probably more likely they go defense. How much worse are they defensively than they were? I mean, you know, I some of it's an unknown with the Kobe Dean and Davis. I know that, but if you're looking at it right now, do you feel like this team takes a big step backwards, a little bit? Like where are they there? Because I think the offense is going to be just fine, personally, barring injuries.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the secondary will be just fine right now, even with them starting Reed Blankenship, even though he's unproven, and it's a lot different from playing and starting 4 games than starting an entire season, because now offensive coordinators have a playbook on you. They know how to play you now. So that'll be, you know, him and Epps is a better player than Reed Blankenship because he has more experience, you know, and Epps is a better athlete. But when you look at CJ GJ and then you put Terrell Edmonds there, I think they upgraded there. So we'll say the safety position is kind of a, you know, at the safety position, they are a little worse at the safety position, but they're good enough to play. At the field the defense right now, they'll be good enough. I think the biggest difference you'll see is at the linebacker position. And it's because the experience that TJ Edwards brought to the table and the size that he has and his playmaking ability to get up the field until Nakobe Dean gets to a point where he's used to playing at the NFL level.
Right.
That experience is what's going to, you know, differentiate him and TJ Edwards. And when you look at athleticism, there's no question Nakobe Dean is far better as far as being an athlete than TJ Edwards. So he'll be able to go out there and make plays up the field, probably a little faster because he's more instinctual. He just won't have the size, you know, he just won't have enough bricks in his ass right now to be that much of a difference, you know what I'm saying? But he will eventually be as good or better than Nakobe Dean. From
Go ahead.
Then you look at White, you know, because they're White and Nicholas Morrow. I think that's a wash. I don't think either one is better than the other one.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's a wash. Defensive line, I think they're cool with the defensive line. Yes, Hargrave was a guy that can go out there and rush the passer. He had 11 sacks. That's hard to do from the inside interior defensive lineman. But I still think it's a wash because they have guys that can come in and play. They'll be better against the run with Hargraves not being there. Hargraves could not play the run. And people go, oh, there's 11 sacks. Well, he didn't play the run either. They drive the ball on him all day. So, you know, it's pick your poison. You want to stop the run. You want to, you know, press the pocket. You know, I think they can press the pocket now and stop the run with the guys they have right now. So defensively, I think they can go out and fill the defense. Last year's defense was great in pass. This defense, we have to see what they are.
My biggest concern is You lost your top 5 tacklers on a suspect tackling defense to begin with. Now that all those pieces aren't there anymore, you have to replace them. How much of the same or worse could it be in terms of wrapping up players, wrapping up getting ball carriers to the ground? You know, sometimes in games, the second and third effort by a ball carrier is the difference in controlling the clock and keeping that opposition off the field, i.e., this Eagles, potent offense. I'm looking at the nuclear players now. We talk about Blankenship will be okay. We don't know who the other safety is just yet. The cornerbacks are not great tacklers. Hassan Reddick is not known for his tackling. He's known for his rushing ability. Right. Josh Sweat known for his rushing ability. There's ways offensively to counter that. These guys coming off the edge like Lamborghinis. Hey, you hit them with trap runs, you hit them with delayed runs up the middle, that neutralizes that kind of stuff. If you got guys in the middle of the field that can't wrap them up, that's a major problem. A lot of games will be a lot closer than they should be in that case. And we saw that happen in certain games this past season. So I don't know. We don't know if the Kobe Dean, the All-American Defensive Player of the Year at Georgia, is going to be that guy that can be that run stuffer. We don't know. We know his forte in college was blitzing and getting to the quarterback, being a disruptive factor. But in terms of stuffing the run, standing in the hole, taking on these gargantuan guards and tackles nowadays, don't know. And if what Barrett says is true, if this defense is going to be smaller than it was just this past season, and they had problems in that regard this past season, that problem is going to rear its ugly head again.
Interesting. I don't know if you guys got a chance. I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Howie Roseman was on was it New Heights with Kelsey, the Kelsey brothers.
Yeah,
it was entertaining stuff. And I thought this was interesting in talking about building your team. And I thought this particularly, we mentioned Chip Kelly when we had Jeff McClain on last segment. So how he addressed when he came back after the year away. Remember they were 7-9 in 2015. That was Chip's year as the GM and the coach, and they got rid of him and all that. So Howie said on the New Heights podcast, quote, "For me, especially in our market, there is no rebuilding. As quickly as we can to be a championship team, that's the goal." And it was almost a challenge to me when I came back in 16. And really, the team was at a different place in 15. We had so many independent contractors on that 16 team from afar because I wasn't as tied in that year. I was in the closet. And he said, so when I came back, you start looking at these guys and I'm like, man, got a lot of guys who aren't Eagles and they don't really fit who we are and what we're looking for. And we were fortunate to turn around into 2 years. So look, he's always going to be uber aggressive, Howie, that much we know. And we've seen it. Think about where they were at Chip's last year. How quickly they get that fixed. Where they were in Doug's last year, how quickly they get that fixed. Now the interesting part is going to be, it feels like you're sort of on the beginning of this journey with Sirianni. Can you maintain it? They haven't been great at maybe maintaining for consistent. Now, look, they've been a good team, for the most part, but can you consistently keep this going with a young quarterback and a young coach? That's going to be one of the things to really look out for this year and going forward.
I think we got to get past the young quarterback thing now. I think that when you look at Hurts now, Hurts he's arrived as far as being one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. And, this is their third year as coaches in this organization.
Yes.
Sirianni, I think he has the most to prove out of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, is his culture good enough to get those defensive coaches up to speed?
Yeah.
Will they fit in his culture? Can they go out and accomplish what, Gannon accomplished? We had the Gann wagon. Dasani, what is he going to have, man? So, that's the biggest. There's so many questions on the defensive side of the ball. Who's playing this? We kind of know who's going to play what and how these guys are going to play. I kind of know what you're going to get, from Nakobe Dean. You're going to get a guy that I saw against the Titans who balled against Derrick Henry. I can definitely see him going out there and playing very well against teams and making it happen. He should. They drafted him in the third round, but he was a first round talent. For the most part, I want to see schematically how he can get these guys in a position where they're going to make plays, man. I don't know if he's going to zone blitz. When you go with 3-4, you zone blitz a lot, you know. This is going to be different, man. It's going to be really different. So I want to see the maturation of Nick, and can he get those other guys into his coaching style more so than anything.
Yeah, that's the hard part, man. I mean, they have a major turnover on the defensive side, personnel and coaches. That's a lot, you know.
An awful lot.
Offensive coordinator, I'm sorry, defensive coordinator, secondary coach, linebacker coach, another assistant coach, and you lose Hargrave, CJ, GJ, Epps, Edwards, White. You know, a lot. That's a lot of turnover. Like, I think we would be unrealistic. To think that this defense is going to be great out of the chute. I don't think it is. Right. You know, and it doesn't mean they can't get better as the season goes on, but I think we're going to have the same expectation we had last year on defense, and that's, you know, you're setting yourself up for disappointment if you do.
I hope we're not. I don't think we are. Would you say that we? I don't think it. As an offense, I mean, as a defensive unit, I didn't think we saw the defense as being an elite defense. It was elite on passing down.
Passing, they were first. Yeah. And they took the ball away a ton and they sacked a ton. But I mean, they weren't They weren't across the board every category. You know, but still pretty good in the grand scheme of things. You know,
I think a learning curve of patience is the key here.
Yep.
You got so many new elements getting used to each other, and more players are going to be coming in, and they're going to be counting on younger players, younger inexperienced players through the draft to fill certain roles in terms of rotational roles. And there's going to be a growing pain period. How long will that period be? That remains to be seen. That could be huge, especially in the first half of that season, where those wins early on are just as important as those wins late in the season. You know, hopefully Desai can come in here and everybody hits the ground running, but historically that doesn't happen. I don't care how good you have, how much talent you have. It just doesn't happen right away. Now, especially because everything is pulled back so much in terms of the amount of practice time you can get in. You know, coaches, and Sirianni does also. You know, we got a good practice session in, but you only feel an hour and 15 minutes. How much can you do in an hour and 15 minutes compared to 3-hour sessions in the era of the Andy Reids, or, you know, and things like that? So it's going to take game action, because every week the scenario changes in terms of what you're going to see from across the line of scrimmage, whether it's a power running game format, whether it's a lot of motion format. You're going to see a lot of variation, and it's going to take a couple of times to go through that rotation to get it to where you want it to be. You know, and that's not to say they're going to be a bad defense, but I don't think we're going to have a true gauge of what this defense is probably until 6-7 games into the season.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think it's unfair to Sean Desai to think anything differently, you know, as he takes this thing over. It's just going to take him a little while, you know, and they're playing better teams. Yeah, it's just a fact. They're playing better teams. There isn't any layups in the division, and your out of division opponents are better than they were last year.
And everything I've seen says that their opponents this year rank them either number 1 or 2 as having the most difficult schedule in the NFL this year, compared to having one of the weakest schedules this past season. So you have to couple in that fact as well. You put up gargantuan numbers against what the so-called expert says was one of the weakest schedules in the NFL, and we've chronicled time and time again, they only played a couple decent quarterbacks last year. Everybody else was a backup or a third-string guy, or a guy who came in during the game because somebody else got hurt. Well, you're playing better quarterbacks. You're playing better teams overall. And so the road to get back to where you want to be, as it always is the case with the Super Bowl participant, became that much more difficult. And we know how fans and how impatient fans can be and how critical fans can be. And I think we're going to see a lot of that this year. I'm not equating it to the success or failure ratio. I'm just saying in terms of how spoiled they were in 2022, there's going to be a lot of criticism in 23 because it won't be quite as fluid as it was last year.
Yeah, what you feel good about is they're going to be able to get after the quarterback.
Yes.
They still will be a team that is very good with pass rush, which affects everything and changes everything. We need to see if they're a little bit lighter, how good they are against the run. And look, we all roads sort of lead back to this. How good is Jordan Davis? How good is Nakobe Dean? How will they be in run fit? How will they be in a lot of other ways? So that, look, I think it's realistic to kind of go in with your eyes open and just say this is probably going to be a team that at least early relies more on their offense. And the beauty is, think about it. What did you lose offensively? Say Amalu and Miles Sanders. I think both were good, but both are replaceable, for sure. And
they are replaced.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this comes down to Rashad Penny staying healthy and maybe somebody that they draft to go with Gainwell and Boston Scott. And then if it's Juergens moving over, or if it's some other, something else unforeseen, maybe, but I feel like they're going to be real close to what they were last year offensively, because you have the quarterback, you have the receivers, you have the tight end, you still have the offensive line. So you should be able to
be better.
I mean, those guys, think about it. We're not accounting for Jalen getting better, Devontae Smith getting better, Dallas Goedert getting better, Landon Dickerson being better than he was last year, Mailata being better than he was last year. I think all those things are very realistic. You're talking about younger guys for the most part.
I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year, simply because we've seen it, man. Jalen comes in, he never comes into the same spot. He never stays the same. He's always progressing and being better. I sent you guys that clip of what Nick Saban said.
Yeah, so regarding Jalen,
yeah, he gets better, man. He works on the things he needs to work on. He understands his shortcomings and makes sure those shortcomings are no longer shortcomings. He finds ways to make sure that he progresses in his craft. He wants to be great. What's the difference between wanting to be great and working to be great? You know what I'm saying? It's a huge difference. I see people all the time that they want to get good at something, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't want to go get good at things. He wants to perfect things. He wants them to be, he didn't want his shortcomings to become, he didn't want to be shortcomings anymore. He wants to do it so much that it becomes secondhand to him, So when I heard what Saban said that he worked on,
so Barry, let's lay it out for maybe people didn't see it. So what Saban says is, look, when he was here, he won a lot of football games, but he ends up getting benched. He didn't transfer. He wanted to graduate from Alabama. He stayed here. He graduated. And Saban said to him, if you want to play in the NFL, you have got to learn how to become a better passer. You got to learn how to read defenses better. You got to be able to just develop your passing game, all those kind of things. He stayed there. That's all he worked on, even when Tua was the quarterback. And he was ready, and he came in the SEC title game and helped them. But then he said when he was looking for a place to transfer, he said, tell me if I'm just doing this off the top of my head.
Bro, this is almost Savant-esque.
He said he looked at Miami and he looked at Maryland, and Saban said, who's got the best passing game in college football? And
who has the best athletes?
And they agreed on Oklahoma. And he went to Oklahoma and he became a better passer, and the rest is history. I was just trying to give people the background who didn't see it, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Bro, that was freaking amazing, bro.
That
was Savant-esque.
Stupid stuff sticks in my head, man. I don't know.
So I mean, because it was memorable what Nick Saban says. He said in practice, instead of running, he said, we all know you can run, but you need to learn how to be a better passer. So he would sit in the pocket and not run and not escape and make sure he delivered the ball down the field. All that building up to where he is right now. You sit back, and I was reading the stream. One guy said that 49ers, of course he's going to be, a stake in my craw. I know it all the time. He just talks just to talk. Yeah, I acknowledge you, bro. But he said, oh, he's a running back. He's not no, he is a quarterback. He can beat you with his arm just as well as with his legs. In fact, he'd rather beat you with his arm. And that's why he's starting to get so much better with his arm than anything else. You know what I'm saying? He's becoming accurate. Even when he hurt his shoulder, came back, he was still accurate. So, I mean, this has become him being a drop back passer who has the ability to break your back when they need to run it. Oh, and by the way, if they want to take a game over, they can still take a game over and run them like, with the read option. So, I mean, you rarely get that type of athlete that can do those type of things.
I don't know how you could, if you're still doing he can't beat you with his arm after watching last year and then watching in the Super Bowl, to me, your argument, it just doesn't hold any weight. You just have an agenda.
Those are people that just hate Philadelphia and are not going to give him his credit. And I'm talking about people that have prominent roles. I never could figure that out. They're just not going to give this kid, I shouldn't say kid, young man, his due, for whatever the case may be. But the more people talk negatively about him, the more positive he shines.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
and
no,
that's
and
the bottom line.
I agree with you, Derek. And I think that he, in the absolute most right way, feeds off of that stuff. It is definitely like great fuel for him, all the doubters and everybody else. I think he's always, in a weird way, the best thing that could have happened for the Eagles was the stuff that he went through in college. I'm sure it was very painful for him at the time getting benched in the championship game. And then Tua throws that touchdown to Devontae Smith and they win a national championship. Like, think about how bittersweet that is. It's almost like Carson Wentz in a little way where you're like, damn, man, I got us to 11-2, whatever they were at that point. And then Nick brings us home. I'm happy for the team, but it also hurts a little bit. There had to be a little bit of that with Jalen, right? But instead of pouting or transferring, like we see almost all these guys do now, basketball and basketball and football, he stayed there. He had a goal to get his degree, got his degree, tells you about his character. He listened to Saban say, you got to get better as a passer, to the point where, as Barrett said, he wouldn't even move in practice. He wouldn't get out of the pocket and run. And so the Eagles got more of a developed, from a character standpoint and an understanding that he's got to be a better passer guy than maybe they would have gotten had he just continued to have pretty good success at Alabama and not transfer, not go through some of those ups and downs. It really helped them in a lot of ways.
I'm going to go into the theory of what we just talked about. The Eagles sat down and identified all of these traits when they made that decision to draft him. Because I still can't get over the fact we were all dumbfounded. Why would you take another quarterback in the second round when you just handed a guy before him the keys to the kingdom? And the Eagles knew they were in a situation where he could sit, wait, and learn before they would turn the reins over. Maybe they even turned the reins over to him sooner than they wanted to, but because of what the other guys started doing, you had to expedite the process. But, give the Eagles credit. We chastised them for being so inconsistent a lot of times in their draft picks. And this one was one where it was meticulous in terms of the evaluation process of what they saw in him, traits that obviously we couldn't see, but they identified on film and in people they talked to both at Oklahoma and Alabama about his character. And because his team is so adamant about bringing in high character guys, he fit every criteria you could think of in terms of what they were looking for potentially as the next quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep, absolutely. And if everything you just said, Derek, is right, props to the Eagles for taking all that into account, above and beyond just the film of what you're seeing from him in his career. Good stuff. All right, we'll turn our sights to the Phillies and the Sixers. We'll do a little combo effort before we do our NFL segment at 2:00. Some stuff to get into with the NFL. We're going to look at the up-and-coming teams in the NFL. Matthew Stafford has a nice little day today for himself. Big V in the news, but we'll get into all that kind of stuff in a little bit. We'll come back, Phillies meltdown, and some Sixers who get back at it tonight. What's the approach here as we go forward for the Sixers here? Last 6 games. Do all that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take. JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Time to tell you right now about Pro Action Restoration. Yes, Pro Action Restoration. They are the folks that you reach out to if your home, your business, your property goes through the pain, the inconvenience of water, fire, smoke, mold damage, whatever the case may be. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I know I've gone through it at my parents' house. They had water damage and it was a mess and they couldn't clean it up. They were older folks, et cetera. It was a Saturday. I called Pro Action Restoration. They got right out. They cleaned up the problem. They fixed it. The crew was professional. It was clean. The price was right. I mean, every single box was checked. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action Restoration will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So again, it could be water, could be fire, could be smoke, could be mold remediation that you need. They can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid
as long as you face the fear.
and keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross. Is the best vacation one that you find or one you get lost in? One that takes you to new heights or reminds you to go with the flow? To get your feet wet and your wheels spinning? One that lets you find your own rhythm or get carried away? Find the best of yourself. Get lost in the woods. Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Plan your day with confidence.
Keep the umbrellas on hand.
With Action News and AccuWeather.
Numerous tornadoes.
Your go-to team when severe weather strikes.
The water is still rising.
Keeping you prepared wherever you watch. Action News and AccuWeather, the team you trust.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
As a hardworking American, you've never experienced how tough life can be until now. A catastrophic injury while working on the job. A personal injury from someone else's negligence. Turned away by other law firms in the region who didn't bother to learn your story. It's time to meet the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm and managing partner Brian Fritz. Badly injured? Call the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm. Find out why they say, "We got this."
Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. We do appreciate it. Last day of March 2023. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. All right, so we touched on this off the top of the show, guys. So let's just walk through this for a minute because it's hard to even fathom. The Phillies led 5-0. They ended up losing 11-7. They scored. They jumped on DeGrom early, but then they give up a 9 spot in the bottom of the fourth. So let me just walk you through this thing. So Nola had on 21 pitches gotten through the first 3. It was pitching very well. He goes single, ground out, single, walk, RBI double. It's 5-2 at that point. Okay. Then Robbie Grossman comes up and hits a 3-run shot. It's 5-5. Thompson sticks with him. He gets a ground out, then he pulls him. Then he brings in Gregory Soto. This is all still in the fourth. Walk, single, walk, infield single. It's 6-5 Rangers. Pass ball by Real Muto. It's 7-5 Rangers. 2-run single. It's 9. 9 runs. Now listen to this too. We're talking about how quick it is with the pitch clock and all this other stuff. So that half inning, not even the full fourth inning, that half inning itself, okay, lasted 29 minutes and took up 58 pitches. Just that half inning. It was a disaster.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Woof.
I was crazy, man. Come on, man. I text you guys. What the heck happened?
My first call, I did the post-game show, the first call. No wonder they broke off talks with Nola. They should never give him a penny. Let him walk. Get him right now. I swear to God. It's a team that went to the World Series last year. It's great. I love the reaction, man, for people.
That's crazy, man.
It was bad, man. And the frustrating part is the offense jumped on DeGrom early, knocked him out of there. And the crazier part, you have two guys. I'm not going to put Nola in the same category as DeGrom because DeGrom, when he's healthy, is probably the best in baseball. But Nola's a pretty good pitcher. They both go 3 2/3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
They both allow 5 runs.
Mm-hmm.
Pitches were close. It was 73-72. You get 6 extra base hits off of DeGrom and 7 on the day, score 7 runs, knock him out in the 4th, and you lose the game. That can't happen.
That should be an automatic win.
Yeah.
It really should. And I know it's a season opener and crazy. Hey, look, Houston lost their season opener. They're the defending world champs. Okay, it happens.
Yep.
But the manner in which they lost this game is what's really, I would say, puzzling.
Right.
Because Nola didn't give up a hit the first 3 innings. I mean, he was dealing. He was typical Aaron Nola, corner to corner, painting the corners with his pitches, sneaky fastball, had everything working for him right out of the gate. And all of a sudden, a switch flipped on, and Texas caught on to what he was doing, and they just tattooed him from that point on, and anybody else that's on the mound behind him. You know, Soto comes out and he's like, you know what? We don't care who you are. You're in the wrong uniform today, buddy. You know, and it happened. To me, Nola falls in the category of, think about some of the most. Let me ask you this question. Name some players in your time, Brock, because you have a better memory of this than any of us because you're from here, that have fallen into that definitive category of love-hate relationship. I would say Nola is right in the mix of that love-hate relationship with the fans.
I'll give you one.
Okay.
I think Fletcher Cox falls into some of that.
Yes.
You know who else I was thinking? Eric Lindros.
Lindros for sure was one. Pat Burrell had that kind of relationship.
Pat Burrell, yes.
With the fans. You know, Donovan's a great one.
No question about it.
You could ask one fan and they can't stand him. One fan will go to the mat for him.
Yep.
You know, I think Simmons was like that, and then it flipped, and everybody is against Simmons now. So he's out of that category. Right. But yeah, we Nola's definitely that guy. It's hard to, like, when you have these debates with Nola, you're like, damn, he always takes the ball every 5th day. He doesn't miss time. He eats up a lot of innings. He gets a ton of strikeouts. But it feels like when it goes off the rails for him, that train careens into the town.
Yes.
Like, it's not just, the train stops. No, it's like fireworks. And that's what it was yesterday. Like, it's one thing if you get out of that and it's 5-3, he gives up a 3 spot. All right, whatever. You're still up 2 runs. No, it's like spectacular, disaster with Aaron Nola. So it feeds into the people who don't like him all that much and say he's not clutch. Like a great example is last year. He pitches the game in Houston that gets you into the playoffs, right? Then he pitches great in St. Louis. Then he pitches great against the Braves. Then the wheels start coming off in the NLCS against the Padres, and then he's terrible against the Astros in the World Series. Yep. So it gives both sides fuel. Like, dude, he was great. He helped get you in the playoffs. Yeah, but dude, he came up small in the biggest of spots. And he's a great example of that yin and yang.
And you know what's going to happen? Every time he has an outing like this, what's the first thing that's going to come to mind? There's no way the Phillies should pay him the kind of money he wants. We don't even know what kind of numbers we asked for, but you see the comments. There's no way they should pay him the money he wants. I mean, is it the money? Is it longevity? We don't know. I would assume it's a combination of the two. But that's the worst thing that could have happened to Aaron Nola, is for that to come out right before the start of this 2023 season.
Yeah.
That contract talks have broken off until the conclusion of the season, because now he's going to be under that umbrella. Now, granted, what we know about Aaron Nola, he's going to come out and pitch some gems and possibly push a no-hitter at some point this season because he has the capability. But there are going to be those times like we saw yesterday. He's going to have as many of those games as he is those games where he is stellar.
Yes, exactly. I mean, he'll come out and have a stellar game, and we'll be as fans. Hey, we were just playing.
He was dealing.
We were just playing.
But here's the danger. So with the talks breaking off, you're essentially now betting on yourself this year if you're Aaron Nola.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
Yep.
Instead of locking down, which probably would have been a pretty sweet contract for multiple years, which I'm sure the Phillies were offering, right? So now you're saying, all right, I'm going to go. Here's the other complicated part of this thing. Aaron Nola is a guy who works very slowly when he gets runners on base, traditionally in his career, right? He could be very affected by these rules changes. So you're gambling on yourself in a year where you're going to have to make an adjustment in a big way to the way that you pitch. I think he may have been better off just locking it in, man, before the season started. Oh, we're going back to the Phillies now and saying, what was that deal you were offering? All right, well, I'll take that. I'll take that bad boy. I'll take 3 years at $25 million a year, whatever. I'm just making it up. I don't know what it is, but that's the danger too if you're Aaron Nola, because this is not your same old baseball. The rules are different now. Like, he generally there's a stat when he's last year. Where did I write it down? So when he had runners on base last year, it was almost 30 seconds in between pitches. Okay, when he had runners on base. That ain't cutting it this year, man. Okay, you're way past the clock if that's the case. So he's going to have to really make it. Like Bryce Harper's going to have to make an adjustment to all his routine and OCD stuff that he does. So's Aaron Nola, the way he goes about it.
Well, you know, it happens. You know, we knew Nola was going to be up for money. You know, I would love to know how his agent presented this case, knowing his history as we portray it every year. Stellar for the most part during the regular season, fades in August and September. Last year, he didn't fade until they got down to the nitty-gritty, the NLCS and the World Series. I like to know how he presented that. If he just said, hey, my pitcher's ERA is this, he should get this kind of money. Wrong choice of words. Because as much as Dombrowski is not shy about spending the money, I guarantee you on the other side of that table, Dombrowski's saying, you know what, you're right. But here's what your boy does in crunch time. When I mean a stretch run. When like calling a horse race, and down the stretch they come. The better horses start sprinting to the forefront. The ones in the lead start fading down the stretch.
but see, he'll get you there.
He will.
He'll get you where you need to get.
You guys are both right on. Like I have no doubt next start he's going to go 7 and give up like a run or less. Like he'll
probably.
The good thing with him is he's this dude. Like he's like Jalen Hurts in that sense that they're both just they're not emotional. He's very even keeled. Like I don't think he's sitting there. I don't think he was up all night last night. I think he'll bounce back, but he can be frustrating. Make no mistake. As good as he is, he can be a highly frustrating guy at times.
I love watching every time he steps to the hill. I want to make sure I get to watch him because I love how he paints the corners. I love power pitchers, and you don't put him in a category of a power pitcher, but I put him in a category of a very good crafty pitcher. He knows how to set up his pitches. He knows how to set up a hitter to catch him off guard. He is very good at that. But there are just certain teams, you know, you start talking in the dugout, what does the batter do when he goes back to the batters, when he's out of the batter's box? Next batter goes, what's he throwing? What do you see that he's throwing? And so on and so forth. It's a baton. And eventually teams will catch up to you. Now, there are times when he will be masterful and give you 6+, 7+ innings. And it's like that old MC Hammer song, Can't Touch This, you know. But there are other times.
We celebrated his birthday the other day.
Yes.
Derek, you're right. That's why they want power arms, because power arms can get by with mistakes. You can miss location with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball. You miss a location and you're throwing 94 in that league, they're hitting your mistakes. You know, that's for sure. All right, let's jump over to the Sixers. Sixers play tonight to play the Raptors. There's 6 games left. We're definitely in the stretch run here of this thing. Question I have for you guys, and Barrett, you've been really outspoken, so I want you to hit on this first. But how do you go about this? Because you're not completely out of the race here in terms of getting the 2 seed. In terms of, I guess you could conceivably still get the 1. It's not happening. Let's be real. But you have Embiid and Harden in particular. Harden spoke after the game Wednesday and said, you know, basically this isn't getting better, or it's been bothering me all year. I don't think it's completely going away, but I'm out here. It's been sore for months, talking about his Achilles. Embiid asked about the calf, said, yeah, it's good enough, and kind of blew it off. Clearly, both of these guys aren't right. What do you do here with 6 games left?
Bro, you got to conserve, man. You got to conserve. So if that means we're kind of thinking that they're going to stay at the 3 spot. They're in the 3 hole right now. So, they're not clean up at 4, but let's just stay in the 3 hole. You say you want to play against the Nets. You don't want to play against the Knicks. Well, if you're in the 3 hole, it looks like you're going to be playing the Nets then, right? Let's stay there. Yeah. But let's not totally just, making a foregone conclusion that we have to play Embiid, that we have to play Harden. No. We don't want that to get any worse. I understand it. You're never as healthy as when you start the season. You're not. And going towards the playoff is not about getting hurt. You got to maintain what you have. If you get hurt, then that's a problem. But if we can just maintain this, and the only way we can maintain this is to let that schedule just play out the way it is and sit those guys as much as we can. You're going to have to.
Yeah.
Because health is the key. Health is what you're going to get. He's never going to feel like, all right, that Achilles is all the way, right. It's not going to be right. That's just the nature of what it is to play sports. The farther you get, the worse you feel. You never feel just like as you get older, you never feel as good as you did back when you were a young whippersnapper.
Right.
You're feeling old now. But these guys know how to control it now. They know how to maintain it now. I don't have a problem with neither one of them right now not playing 4 out of the 6 games left.
Yeah, I mean the temptation, Gunner, is going to be the Boston and Milwaukee game. Just from a competitive standpoint.
Right.
It's going to be hard to just like Sunday's Milwaukee. It's like you sitting those guys. That's
no,
the hard
you're not
part.
sitting. You're not sitting them there.
Yeah.
You're not sitting them against Boston because Boston has owned them all season, and they have to make.
You got to get one mentally under your belt. Yeah.
And then win both of those games, then you're thinking about we got a chance to catch somebody, whether it's Boston or Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Then how much do you push from there? I would love to see them sit them like Barrett said 4 out of the last 6. But there's a sense of urgency with these next 2 games coming up after Toronto tonight. Now, I think if there was a game you could sit both of them or at least Harden, because I think the Harden situation concerns me a lot more than Embiid's situation.
Right.
Tonight is that game.
Same.
I mean, Toronto right now has the best winning streak in the East, but they're the number 9 seed right now. They're in the Sixers are 2-1 against them. And we saw and you're home. And we saw the Sixers beat better competition without Embiid and Harden on the court at the same time. The Keystone Cops, rally and they play good ball together, and I've said it throughout the season. Sometimes this team plays better without Harden and Embiid in the lineup.
Right.
And I think Toronto's one of those teams where they don't need either one of them, to play this game tonight and then focus on Milwaukee and Boston and maybe pick one of the last 3 games or 2 of the last 3 games to sit them out again, depending on what happens against Milwaukee and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But if you keep pushing Harden and Achilles, he's talking about a sore Achilles. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. I think a calf injury you can control more. You can wrap it tighter. You can control that a lot better. Heat stimulation, so on and so forth. But when you're talking about Achilles and that's your push off, you're just irritating more and more. And I don't want to see it get to the point like it was last year where players are sitting out more than they're in the second part of that season. Right. James Harden is an older player now. He's not that young kid anymore. It takes you a little bit longer to recover. How many consecutive games did he already sit out because of this?
Right.
Don't want to see that happen again in the second season.
I'm with you. Look, I'm with you 100%. So I think there's going to be some interesting / difficult decisions for Boston. All right. Well, the other thing is, Gunner, and I'm not bringing this up to rub it in because
what direction would you go?
I would play them against Milwaukee and Boston. I would. Harden wouldn't play tonight. I'll walk you through the game. So here's what I would do. Harden wouldn't play tonight for me. I'd let him rest that thing. I'd play him Sunday. Okay. Embiid would play both of these games tonight, and he would play Milwaukee, Boston, and then he sits both Miami and Atlanta, and I get him a little tune-up in the Brooklyn game. I try and get Harden through those 2 games. I actually try and do the same thing with Harden. Harden sits tonight. He plays Milwaukee, plays Boston, sits the next 2. You take the L's with Miami and Atlanta if you have to. You play them both for a period of time against Brooklyn, and that's it. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. And I'm looking at that. I'm just trying to figure out. The shame of it is the Miami game's here. I hate to do that to the fans that both of those guys are out. I don't like that. I do feel bad about that part of it, but I think the fans would be happier in the long run if they end up going on a deep playoff run. So that's what I would do.
You can't please everybody. If you sit them more than you play them down the stretch, they're going to grumble.
Yes.
But if you're at the full arsenal, come playoff time, to me, that's the most important thing. I've given up on the fact to keep pushing to get the number 1 seed. When I look at where they are right now, there's no way Milwaukee, even though Milwaukee got blown out last night, there's no way Milwaukee's going to drop to a 3 seed.
No.
You're not catching Milwaukee.
No.
The chances of you catching Boston are slim. Even though you're closer, the chances of you catching them are slim. So you got to focus on where you are right now, maintaining that status and getting your people healthy for what's to come.
I'm with you. Last one, the Celtics beat the Bucks last night by 41.
I didn't see that game. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, yes, you did. Yes, you did see it.
I didn't see. You know what? I didn't see it until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I take no joy in that. I hate the Celtics, so
You know,
I take a little joy zinging you. But
at that point, when I picked up the game in the fourth quarter because my cousin was texting me in Milwaukee, I was just like numb. I just wanted to see how bad I was. Just numb to the fact that it was a competitive game. I just want to see how in the world can they look this bad. By that time, all the scrubs were playing the fourth quarter, so I knew that game was over. Then they went up. They were up by almost 50 at one point.
Yeah, not pretty. It was really. So I'm in the studio, and I flipped it on, and in the second quarter, it was like a 30-point game. I mean, that was from the jump. It was a blowout. All right, let's come back to do some NFL. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to hit, including ascending teams. We're going to do like a sort of a power ranking for the AFC and the NFC, and then the ascending teams in both conferences. We're going to do a bunch of other odds and ends with the NFL when we come back, so don't go anywhere. That's Barrett. That's Derek. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take on this Friday, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, as we roll into hour number 3. Let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Yes, Flynn Tree Services, experienced, licensed, insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face. They are experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. Now, keep in mind, got spring just upon us, right? We're not quite into the summer, but it's still sort of wintry. It's a good time to get your trees evaluated before we start getting some of the rain, some of the wind, some of the other stuff that comes along with that time of year, the seasonal stuff, if you will. You go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Imagine for a moment that you went to work today and when you came home, you were catastrophically injured. Your life and your family's life. That's what happened to union construction worker Mike Little.
I was scared of what the end was going to be, but to be 100% honest with you, I knew I was going to be all right just by talking with Brian. In my heart, I just knew everything was going to be all right.
Call the firm and find out why they say, "We got this." Call 215-458-2222.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Hour number 3, baby. We'll talk a little NFL. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Member. What's the matter, guy?
You see this just came across? Eagles and Jalen Hurts have agreed to a 3-year, $137 million deal.
What?
Did you see this?
Stop it.
Yeah, you see it just came across. Wow. April Fools. I'm just kidding.
I was waiting for it. All right, that's a violation. Can you do that on March 31st? That's a total violation.
I can because number one, I'm D-Gun, damn it. Number two, April 1st is tomorrow, so we won't be here tomorrow. I got to get that shot in real quick. People are like, what? You hear what D-Gun said? Everybody calm down. It's not true. I just wanted to see the look of Barrett and Rob's face. I got exactly what I wanted today. Got exactly what I wanted.
That's not even cool, bro.
Yeah, man, it's not
I don't care about being cool.
It's not cool.
Told said that's whack, D-Gun. I don't care.
He's right. It is whack.
I don't care. I got it out there. And I enjoy every moment. Ray Rodriguez said, "You got me."
Guys texting. I love it, man. Oh, that's funny.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm looking through stuff like I'm going through. I'm like, what? Where's this at? You know what I'm saying? I got to figure this out.
Yeah,
man.
me too. Because I'm saying that's all I do during the break. I'm just looking at stuff, trying to have material for when we come back. And I'm like, how did I miss that?
Hey, you know that old saying, "My work is done here."
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, I'm spent.
Oh my God, that's funny. All right, this was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys get a chance to see this. So Damar Hamlin went to the White House to meet with President Biden yesterday. They sat down for a while and had some discussions. I know earlier in the I guess was it last week? Yeah, last week at the owners' meetings, the Bills general manager said, "Yeah, I mean there is no question that he plans to try to play this season." Brandon Beane, who is the Bills GM. So he's got every intention of trying to play. Now, still meeting specialists. They're still trying to figure this thing out. The NFL on Monday announced the launch of Smart Heart Sports Coalition. It's a collaboration with several groups to advocate for policies in all 50 states aimed at preventing fatal outcomes from sudden cardiac arrest, which is what happened with Damar among high school athletes. The goal is to pass legislation at the state level to implement policies within 3 years. And, et cetera, et cetera. But he's done a lot of good and raised a lot of awareness, since this happened to him. And he seems like an unbelievable guy. I hope he can make it back. And I hope he's, from a health standpoint, it's safe for him if he does do it.
That is so scary at that age to go through what he went through. Was declared clinically dead twice on a football field. And he's 24 years old.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's even contemplating returning to the game again is to me scary. If it was my son, I would beg with him, please do not return to the football field. I know you have spent all of your football days in Pop Warner High School, college, dreaming of putting on an NFL uniform, but nobody could have anticipated what you just went through. Please don't put yourself through that again, even though it was a fluke. The way you got hit, and it was a fluke because players get hit like that all the time in the chest. But in your case, your heart stopped. Please find something else to do. Go back to school, get your master's degree, whatever the case may be. I don't want to go through that. Our family does not want to have to go through that as well. Please don't ever do that again.
Yeah, it's tough. It is a tough call, man. That's for sure. Considering
I don't know how to approach it, man. Like, the NFL.
What would you tell your son?
No.
And you played the game. Now, what would you tell your son?
I would say no, but I would understand, and we would conversate over it. I can't. I can't.
You can't live his life.
I know, but I can't say that I don't want him to play too. Honestly, even right now, I'm not saying I don't want Damar Hamlin. I can't say that I don't want him to play. I'm gonna say this: the human body, man, is capable of doing so much more than we think it can do. Like they say, we only use 20% of what the human body can really do, what it can really obtain. And it's almost like the super gifted greatest athletes. They are just a little bit more. They can go above and beyond what everybody else can do. That's what makes them super athletes. But if you can harness a lot of what the human body can do, man, I mean, there's no telling what this kid might be able to do. You know, he might come back and, I mean, look at what happened with what was his name? Watt, JJ Watt.
JJ Watt.
Kind of a similar situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think he had a stroke, right?
He had a stroke and came back and played. That year, though, wasn't it that year?
Yeah. A couple weeks later.
Right. You know,
it's like crazy. Yeah. I hear you. I as a parent, I'd be scared to death for him. But if he still wants to do it and every doctor signs off, how can I tell this guy that he can't continue his dream?
Bro, the
That's
human
the hard
body,
part.
The human body is it's not even really meant to walk upright.
Yeah.
Let alone run, jump,
collide.
hit. Right. You know,
twist, turn. I would not, you can't, once you're an adult, you can't tell an adult, you better not do this.
Right.
Because it's the same if my dad would tell me, son, I don't want you to do this. Bottom line, it's my decision.
Yeah.
But my initial instinct, because I knowing how I am his son, I'm proud of the fact you made it to the National Football League. You fulfilled your dream. But because of this fluke incident, I'm sitting here as your father telling you, I don't ever want to see you put on a football uniform again. Now, you have to make that decision as a 24-year-old man. It is your life, you know, but I just don't want our family to have to go through what we just went through. I don't want to relive that moment.
See, that's the thing right there. Because it's almost a selfishness that has to be, you know, thought about from the player standpoint.
I don't want to bury a child, you know, and I'm not saying that he may live to 100, you know, after this incident. Who knows? But you know, I'm saying, you know, I always say your child should never have to bury you. It should be. I mean, you should not have to bury your child. A child should bury you, and I just don't want it. I would not want any kid of mine to go through that personally. And then put loved ones through that as we stand there watching or praying for him and encouraging him and visiting him in the hospital and reliving that moment all over again. I don't want part two. That's a sequel I don't ever want to see.
Yeah, I hear you. Fair enough, Derek. And that's very well said. That's for sure. I don't think anybody wants to see that. It was one of the scariest moments you'll see if not the scariest moment. All right, a couple other things. Must be nice to be Matthew Stafford. You wake up today, you get $30 million. $30 million. Yep, $30 million. It's part of a deferred signing bonus payment that he got when he went to the Rams or signed his extension with the Rams, whatever the case may be.
Good golly, Miss Molly.
I'm telling you, man.
If I had that, first of all, I would buy Barrett an unlimited supply of White Castle burgers.
That's my dog. See,
lifetime membership.
And
yes.
Rob, you would have an unlimited amount of dry Cheerios.
Thank you.
and then after that, you two would be sitting here talking about, have you heard from D-Gun the last month?
I tried to track him down. I couldn't find him. Yeah.
Did you know did you know his phone's dead? Did you know that?
Yeah.
I'll be gone.
Yeah, seriously, man. 30 million. Oh, goodbye. No, but not to you guys. You guys are still my buddies. But
yeah, exactly.
You'd have a tough time finding me.
So you try to leave us, D-Gun.
Yeah,
I'm not leaving y'all. I'm just going to be here. I'd be on the show like, all right, guys, I don't feel like talking.
I'd be on the show once.
Yeah, I'm taking this segment off.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what? I was seeing you both Morse codes. You know, dot dash dot. I am alive. Dot. Where are you? Line goes silent. Next day. Dot. Good morning, guys.
You guys would get a postcard with say Wataneo from me. I'd be working on my boat right on the water down there.
Right, man.
Good luck. Oh my God.
I'd be road my own house. Barrett was here.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Oh, forget it. All right. So good for Matthew Stafford. Marvin Jones goes back to the Lions. Nice little move. You know,
yeah, it is.
Solid pickup. They've had a good offseason. You know, Detroit's done some nice things.
What is Marvin Jones, 32, 33 now? You know,
he's in that
nice fit. He doesn't have to go in there to be the man. Yeah, but they got a great young nucleus of pass catchers. He still can play. Yeah. I mean, watching him play for Jacksonville last year, Marvin Jones can still play.
Yeah.
You know, so I think he'd be a perfect fit for that structure there.
Yeah, it's a good move. Big V. You guys knew this. I just blanked on this thing. I didn't realize he was out for the entire season last year with that back surgery.
Yep.
But he's going to come back. He took a contract reduction. They cut his money down a little bit here, salary cut. But he's going to play for them next year, and they expect him to still be the starter. We'll see. He got a great deal to begin with, so I think he's just looking at
5 years, $50 million.
Let me get as many years out of this league as I can.
I think Big V's one of those players where, there will be no pushback, in anything that he does. He's just happy. I'm sure it's more money than he ever imagined in his lifetime. A lot of players will push back. I'm not taking a cut. I'm not doing this. Trade me, so on and so forth. He's always been a very quiet type player, just happy to be there. I mean, you imagine the type of money he's making now from where he's from.
Oh,
that's billionaire status,
Yeah.
And how I'm sure he's helping his family and stuff like that in a lot of ways. So I don't think, if he has to take a pay cut, he's still making good money in today's economy. So,
exactly. Yeah. Perspective, perspective.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
All right. So a couple other things here. I thought we could have some fun with sort of doing like our best three, if you want to call them power rankings, whatever you want to call them, in each conference. And then we're going to look at the teams that don't necessarily make the cut of the top three, but they're ascending teams that look like they're going to be on the come here and making their move. So we can start with the AFC, I guess. I mean, the AFC, at least for me, 1-2 is pretty obvious. You go Chiefs, you go Bengals, right? Then I think you could have a little bit of an argument after you go with those two. I think that's where you could maybe justify a couple different teams. But I got to tell you, if I'm going 3, I'm going Jacksonville. So I go Chiefs, Bengals, Jacksonville. Is that the same order you guys would have them?
I would agree. No,
I would go Chiefs, Bengals, and I would still put Buffalo there. I can't count them out yet.
Okay,
they still got Allen.
That's a good point. That's a valid point.
That's fair.
I tell you who I hate to let these words come out of my mouth, but it's their time. It's way overdue. I'd say the Chargers.
There's talent. There's a lot of talent.
There's on both sides of the football. They're deep in talent.
Don't like the coach, and Eckler might be out of there.
Yeah. I still say they got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. They, at some point in one of these decades, they've got to make that next significant step. They have to. You've got the quarterback that you want. You've got pass catchers. You got defensive players. Derwin James can play on my defense any millennium.
Yep.
That dude knocking holes through brick walls, man. If people come in his area code, you better check your life insurance policy because he's knocking people out.
Mm-hmm.
You got Khalil Mack over there. You got players.
Joey Bosa.
Asante
Samuels Jr.
What?
They got talent, man.
You got to make this move at some point. I got to put the Chargers in there also.
Mm-hmm.
They still got Austin Eckler. He'll probably be around. But, I mean, the young boy quarterback, Justin Herbert is still one of the primetime primetime quarterbacks in the league, and he has some receivers to throw to, man. Yeah. Keenan Allen is still one of the best that ever did it, man. His route running is amazing. Yep. Mike Williams is still a deep threat.
Yeah.
They just can't put it together, man. They just can't put it together,
It's unbelievable. Like I told you, you guys know, I've jokingly said this since the early 80s, what this franchise has been. A team that shows potential always finds a way to stumble over their own feet.
Yep.
And nothing has changed.
Dank
Burrito says Cleveland. That's another one with the full season of Watson. It's another team.
Well, there, yeah. So here's where I went with the ascending teams. I went Jets, and this is assuming they get Rodgers because there's a lot of talent with that Jets team. I put Dolphins because that's assuming there's Tua. All of these have hooks to them, but if Tua can stay healthy, Broncos, if Peyton and Russell Wilson can get that thing turned around. I put the Chargers in there.
Wow.
For all the reasons you just laid out, I put the Browns in there. They're the 5 teams that I put on the ascend in the AFC.
Oh, I would add the Steelers to that list also.
Okay, with Pickett in the second year.
Point. Yeah. Good point.
To me, they're on their way up, man. They're offensively, they'll still be pretty good, man. I mean, they were still able to, have a winning season last year. I can't believe it, man.
Yeah. I know. It almost felt like they had some I don't know, 6-11 year, but they didn't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Cleveland's pass catchers on offense, and you got Nick Chubb, obviously, but Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Elijah Moore, and your tight end is David Njoku. That's not a bad collection of weapons right there.
I know.
And they have one of the better offensive lines in the game as well. There's another team.
And they run the ball consistently.
They run that ball. They run that, tote that rock, man. You know, you're right. Denver has everything they need right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally got a coach who has a good pedigree. If he can't turn it around, you might as well sell the franchise again. You just sold the franchise, you might as well sell it again. If you can't turn it around with
receivers
Sean Payton,
too.
Yep.
Well, I hope they keep the receivers. It's not a foregone conclusion that Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy will be there. They're still trying. I mean, I have to wait until after the draft before I make that decision because they still could trade Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. They're saying they don't want to.
Yeah, according to Payton, they're not trading anybody.
And then I just seen reports come out even last night that that they're not looking away from any offers for them.
Okay.
They're not turning away offers. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that tells me they're still in play.
Yeah, no question. You're telling me you get some kind of crazy offer, they're not going to move one or both of them. I don't buy it. I know Sean Payton. I know what he said, and you're right, Derek. He did say that. Any other teams out of the AFC that you guys would throw in there besides Jets, Dolphins, Broncos, Chargers, Browns, Steelers? Anybody else? Look like they may be. I mean,
it's slim pickings, bro. It's even slimmer when you get to the NFC.
NFC. You're right. I mean, the only team I'd maybe consider throwing in there is New England, but you know, a lot of that is going to be how much do you think they were 8-9 last year? How much do you think O'Brien can get Mac Jones on the right path? Do they have enough weapons for Mac Jones?
Is Tennessee all the way out of the equation now as far as being a team that can compete? I think they are.
Yeah, I mean, they really fell apart last year.
Yeah.
You know, and I just are we starting to see Derrick Henry breaking down? Do you believe Tannehill can do it, you know, without an unbelievable run game? I don't. I do feel like it's on the wrong end.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going the wrong way.
Yeah, they're descending.
Yes. Yeah.
On their way out.
No way out. All right. So NFC. Let's just start with the rankings. It's still. I have to go Eagles 1, Niners 2, simply because I don't trust the Niners quarterback situation right now.
Right.
So I have the Niners 2. You know, 3 gets tough. Is it the Vikings? Is it the Cowboys? That was the debate for me when I'm looking who was number 3 here. I went to slightly into the Cowboys.
I did too.
Yeah, over the Vikings.
Yeah.
I don't know what Derek Carr is going to look like in New Orleans right now. I don't know what, you know, Carolina is going to draft first overall. Is the guy that they draft going to be a superstar? You're going to see it right away. Detroit, are they ready to take that kind of leap where they're in this discussion? You know, I don't know. Seattle, they had a nice year. They were 9-8. Are they that much better? I don't know.
Right.
Here's one team. Here's one team I would throw in: Atlanta. Even with Desmond Ridder, the volume of money they spent just to fix that defense alone, and they were as bad as they were last year. They were still 7-10. They're bringing in some serious help for their defense. They claim the organization identified the defense as the problem, and they went out and spent a lot of money to help fix that defense. Now, we don't know what Desmond Ridder is. That's a big question mark, but I would say Atlanta could be one of those teams that could slowly rise up. Carolina has everything they need but a quarterback, and so if they're going to put their ball in the hands of a young quarterback, that team is going to go through some significant growing pains. Detroit is right there. And I think, you know what? I will go so far as right now, after watching Detroit beat Minnesota, saying Detroit, to me, is neck and neck with Minnesota.
Yep.
The one team I will definitely be keeping a close eye on outside of New Orleans with Derek Carr is the Giants.
Yep.
No question about the Giants.
Yeah. Second year under Dable.
Yep.
Some more weapons for Daniel Jones.
Yep.
I mean, you know, yeah. They're an interesting team. They are. This East is not easy.
No. If Washington had a quarterback, I would put Washington at the top of my list in terms of teams that could rise, with Eric Bieniemy now running that offense. But because of the uncertainty of who the quarterback is, there's nothing worth bringing in on the free agent market. And I got a feeling they're going to pick somebody off the free agent scrap heap.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's either Sam Howell or somebody you draft pick. You're not in a position to draft a so-called now starter at quarterback. So quarterback position is going to be It's in the hands of Jacoby Brissett, and Jacoby's not a bad quarterback. I think he gets a bum rap a lot of times. He's not a bad quarterback. He wasn't bad in Indy. He wasn't bad in Cleveland. He's not a bad quarterback, but can he lead you to the promised land, meaning win more games than lose? Don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the thing is, I love Bieniemy, but you can only do so much if you don't have a quarterback. And there's only so much that you can do.
And there lies, that really, when you look at the NFC, that's what it is. Who has the quarterback?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who has the quarterback?
Like the ascending teams, I put Lions, I put Commanders, based off of that, what had the quarterback. Saints, Seahawks. They were my that was it. Yeah, that was it.
My exact ones too. My exact ones, I think the Saints with Carr, I think they'll be a lot better. I think Carr can maximize the weapons that they have. If anybody can. I don't understand why they couldn't get it done last year. I mean, Andy Dalton, to me, he's a veteran quarterback. Why didn't he maximize the talent that he had there? Well, a lot of those guys weren't healthy also. We got to say that, Michael Thomas hadn't played in 2 years, bro.
Right.
2 years.
To still count on him is a mistake.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't know what they're going to have with Alvin Kamara, if he's going to be
behind bars,
suspended or anything. Yeah, not just suspended, but behind bars. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, and the thing is too with that, the league hasn't handed down any kind of suspension for him. He didn't get any time last year.
Exactly.
So that's still looming, for sure.
Their offensive line has gotten a lot better. They should have their starters back. Andrews Pete should be back. Trevor Penning, another year. Second year as a starting left tackle. Cesar Ruiz back at guard, from Camden. So their offensive line is pretty good. It's all predicated on what Derek Carr can do. And then now, you'll have Winston, Jameis Winston as your backup quarterback. He doesn't have to play. He doesn't have to play now, and tight end, Taysom Hill, your tight end, or a gadget player, or wherever you go.
I love Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
I love how they use him down there.
And defensively, I like them defensively, man.
Oh yeah, they have players, man.
Yeah,
they have players on that side of the ball. Yeah, I mean, look, and some of this is going to be impacted by the draft, and if you look at the draft order, and we've kind of gone over this a little bit, but we haven't, really dove into it too heavily. The draft order right now, Carolina goes 1, and I'm leaning towards Stroud for them, and I think he'll start right away. And then you have the Texans at 2, which is probably going to be Bryce Young. Carolina likely goes Anderson. Do you guys think that's where they go?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so Indy with Shane Steichen.
Ooh.
Do they go Will Levis? Do they go Anthony Richardson?
Ooh.
I think they go Will Levis.
I would say Levis also.
Seattle.
Seattle needs defense.
Defensive line, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe
linebackers, corner, safety.
Yep.
They need a lot on defense.
Yep. Detroit still needs help on defense.
You don't think that they might go quarterback, though? Even
Seattle? I think it's possible.
I think they need, now that they brought Bobby Wagner back and they brought a few players in, I just think that Seattle went 9-8 with a 31st ranked defense or 32nd ranked defense last year.
Yeah.
I think they need to add some components to that. They have the pass catchers, they have the running back, they have the offensive line. They just need to upgrade some people that can help stop and put the ball back in the offense's hands more time than not. I think Seattle goes defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think it's most likely that's the direction that they go. Detroit, I think, goes defense at 6.
I think they either go Carter or maybe Wilson from Texas Tech.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Either one with Aiden Hutchinson. Jeez.
Oh, yeah. How about Raiders?
That's interesting. I'd say defense. Defense killed them.
Yep.
The offense
couldn't cover anybody.
Couldn't cover anybody. I'd say they take a cornerback.
Yeah.
They may even take a safety. And there's not many safeties on the board
Just
that
the
are
kid
worth
from
taking in the first round.
yeah, and it's just the kid from Alabama who's actually a slot guy. He's
Branch.
CJGJ, Branch. I think they go Christian Gonzalez, the best corner. I think he's the best corner in the draft. Christian Gonzalez.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting one. Atlanta at 8.
Defense.
They either go the kid from Clemson, either they go Miles Murphy, or they go picture this. They go with the Smith from Georgia. One of those two.
Okay. Bears.
I think this is where the first tackle or offensive lineman comes off the board.
Yeah, you do everything you can to protect that guy.
Yeah, so they get Skoronski from
T-Rex.
Northwestern.
Yeah, Northwestern T-Rex, yeah.
T-Rex. Which leads us to 10, and we've talked about it. You know, a lot of different ways the Eagles could go, but one thing you know is they love the trenches, right? We know that.
Yep. And I think
they get who's ever left. I think
Yeah.
they go who's ever left from those. If it's Miles Murphy or Nolan Smith or one of those defensive ends, or if Christian Gonzalez there, they'll get Christian Gonzalez at the cornerback position.
Okay.
But they're good. I don't think they go with any of the other guys like Broderick Jones or the tackle from Ohio State. I don't think they go that direction.
Okay.
I really don't.
Joey Porter Jr. visited the Steelers for what it's worth, just to throw that out there. Pittsburgh is where are they picking? They're at 17, which kind of could be where he is, somewhere there.
Exactly.
Tennessee's 11. We don't need to go through every one of these teams, but Tennessee's
I think they go to quarterback. I think they get Anthony Richardson.
Even after taking
they already have Malik Willis.
I'll say it again.
Okay.
They'll get Anthony Richardson.
I worry, when they had a couple big games at the end of the year and they pulled Josh Dobbs off the street. I'm like,
Right.
they don't love Malik Willis, but
Malik Willis doesn't love Malik Willis.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. But yeah, that's one. There. It's a little bit of a wild card pick right there with Tennessee. Then Houston goes again at number 12. That's a pick they got for in Deshaun Watson deal. So it's them, and then the Jets, and then the Patriots for whatever it's worth. So that could go a lot of different ways there with that team. That's for sure. All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll open up some questions to the chat section. You want to have a question you want to throw our way, throw a question mark in front of it. We will do that when we come back. I'll tell you how much the pitch clock shaved off games yesterday for Major League Baseball. We have some birthdays, an update on the Oscar Pistorius story, if you guys remember that one. That is not a happy ending type of story, but we'll update you on that as well. We got a lot we got to do in the final segment, so don't go anywhere. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network on this Friday. Let's talk about Razor Technology. Yes, Razor Technology, and in particular, disaster recovery, because the middle of an emergency is the wrong time to wonder who was in charge and how to respond. Restoring malfunctioning systems, rebooting complex servers, reconfiguring applications, bringing backups online, and reauthorizing users all takes time. And the longer it takes, the more damage that a business is exposed to. Razor Technology helps growing businesses develop a disaster recovery plan that protects all their essential data. Razor ensures that all your critical systems are backed up and that backups are regularly checked to ensure that they can deploy at a moment's notice. Depend on Razor Technology, your trusted IT managed service provider, to save time and money on your IT and cloud services. Find out if your business is built to recover from a data disaster by calling Razor Technology today at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Imagine for a moment that you went to work today and when you came home, you were catastrophically injured. Your life and your family's life. That's what happened to union construction worker Mike Little.
I was scared of what the end was going to be, but to be 100% honest with you, I knew I was going to be all right just by talking with Brian. In my heart, I just knew everything was going to be all right.
Call the firm and find out why they say, "We got this." Call 215-458-2222.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
And we're back. Yes, we are. We're hanging out with you on this Friday. We're Sports Take. Tell a friend. Let's hit that like button. We do appreciate it, friends. So if you have any questions for us, let's fire away, man. Let's send them our way. All right. So I'll start with Tyler, who's got a good one here. Tyler, Barrett, I know you've talked about Nolan Smith quite a bit. What do you guys think about Nolan Smith to the Eagles? Would you like that, Barrett Brooks?
I absolutely would like that. You know, I mean, we're talking about a premier pass rusher, gets up the field, creates havoc. Now, he may have some problem against the bigger tackles in the league, but I mean, you said the same thing about Hassan Reddick. All you got to do is make sure, you know, I mean, he has the perfect guy to learn from looking at a guy like Hassan Reddick. He can be an impact player. You know, Nettle have two guys coming off the end like that. If you're going to run a 50 defense where you're going to cover up the center and both guards, you need those fast guys on the outside to make a difference, and those two could definitely do it. So, yeah, if you're going to run a 5-man front, Nolan Smith will be the perfect defensive end to come off the corner.
And most of the, projections I've seen, the mocks, a good possibility he's there.
Yep.
At 10.
Oh, he will be there.
Yeah. So that would make some sense, man, for sure. All right, Dank has a question. Would you trade back with 10 to get more mid-round picks, especially if your guys aren't there? 100%. And that is right up Howie's alley. I mean, whether it's replenishing some mid-round picks, whether it's knowing the teams desperately want to get to your spot and holding them up a little bit, he usually has a great feel for that kind of stuff. I think it's one of the best things that he does.
Yep.
No question about it. This is a team that Howie loves those middle round picks. No question about it. Mm-hmm. And the cupboard's bare right now after the first 3 rounds. And I can see Howie doing it. Isn't it amazing how Howie frustrates you every year? You know, when you think he's going one way, he goes another way, or you're sitting there in anticipation. All right, it's almost the Eagles' pick. Here we go. And the Eagles announced they have traded out of this position.
You know that's
you're sitting there
happening.
going,
You know
no,
that's happening. You know that's happening.
We waited all this time. No, you can't do this to. We need something to talk about. No, don't do this to us. But I can see that happening as well. And in this case, it's not a bad idea.
Yes.
You got to get younger. You got to get younger. You're going to have a quarterback that's going to be one of the top paid QBs in the game. And it's going to affect what you do. This year's going to affect what you need to do next year also. So why not get a few more players in there, young players with potential that you get to critique all spring, all summer, all fall, all winter, and then sit back and say, okay, we're in a pretty good shape here, as they had the luxury of doing with Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis.
All right, so here's a good question for Mr. Taz. Who's under most pressure year one, Desai or Johnson? That's a really good question. I would think Johnson's under more pressure because they return more of their personnel.
Yep,
absolutely.
I think there should be is the key, more leeway for Desai, considering the turnover on that side of the ball.
Yeah. Now we keep in mind we're in Philadelphia, but I do think when you look at the numbers and the creativity and the explosiveness, this team was the most explosive, had the most explosive plays in the NFL. You have to be somewhere near that because you're not, unlike the defense where you're revamping personnel as well as from coaching to players. All you're doing is taking a step up. You've already been in the system. So that machine should keep rolling. So I would definitely say Johnson over Desai.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. This is all right. Let's mix it up a little bit. From Yacht, who will play in the Western Conference Finals. That's a good question. So the Kings wrapped up their first playoff spot in what it was like 16 years, whatever it was. They're looking like they're locked in basically to be I think they're going to be the 3 seed. The top is very iffy though. I mean, you have the Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, Suns are at 4. Durant just came back Wednesday. Clippers, who have played much better of late. They won 7 of the last 10. Golden State looming, with that home road disparity, 31-8 at home, 9-29 on the road. And then, then you kind of have the Lakers, if they're healthy, sort of, peaking there at 9. Don't write them off yet. Anyway, who plays in the Western Conference Finals? Okay, I'm going to say the Suns and the Warriors.
Suns.
I don't even know if they can meet each other, if it would work out that way, but I'm going to say those two off the top of my head.
I would say Denver and the Warriors. And the only reason I picked Denver because Denver's pathetic on the road. I shouldn't say pathetic. They're 19-18 on the road, but they have the best home record in the NBA. They're 32-7 at home.
Yep.
They don't play a lot of defense, but they can shoot. They can shoot with the best of them. And because Golden State is so lethal at home, Golden State is tied with Milwaukee for the second best home record in the game. Yep. I think Golden State will have to beat Denver in the 7th game in Denver. I don't know if they can do it. I think Golden State's the better overall team because they have so many snipers on that team. But Denver having that 7th game at home makes it interesting.
Okay.
I like Phoenix with Durant in there, but I'm not sold on Phoenix.
Okay. All right. I like this one from Forrest. If Jalen Carter falls, does Howie pull the trigger? If they vet him and he's good to go, 100%.
Absolutely.
Pull the trigger on him.
Take him in a minute.
He won't make it past 11. He won't make it past 11. Yes, they would get him in a New York Minute. If he falls to number 10, we will get it. If he falls to number 8, I think we'll trade up and get him.
Yep.
That's how good his kid is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
He could be that great equalizer. He could definitely come in and solidify a defensive line, and then it won't look like a huge mistake with getting last year with Davis.
Chris is worried about the red flags.
Guys, I'll be right back.
Chris.
I got right back.
Yeah, Chris, I don't disagree.
Bring me a White Castle burger.
You better make sure that he's right. Okay, that's what I would tell you. If you're the Eagles or any team that's grabbing him, you better make sure that he is right. Okay, that's for sure. All right, let's hit a couple other things, Gunnar, and we'll continue to field your questions as well. So we saw for the first time in a real game yesterday the pitch clock in Major League Baseball. So 5 of the 15 games, only 5 of the 15 games went over 3 hours. Okay. Phillies were one of them. We had 2 games. One, the Tigers and the Rays, that only went 2 hours and 4 minutes.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable. And then Cleveland, Seattle was only 2:14. Crazy short, too. They basically trimmed off about 28 minutes, 29 minutes per game, which is exactly what you want, man. You know, I mean, you get this thing down to like, you know, realistically 2.5 hours for say a 7 o'clock start. You're done by 9:30. I think it helps everybody, man.
I'm more inclined to watch more baseball now. You know, as a kid coming up, a lot of times when they would have that major league game of the week on, I would watch a game because I just love baseball. But as I got older, you get away from it because it's so time consuming, and you have so many other things to do. When you get married, you start having kids, you have other commitments. Now I'm inclined to peek at matchups a little bit more. Obviously, more teams I'm more interested in, like the Phillies and the Brewers.
Right.
But you know, if there's a good matchup like the Dodgers, Mets, or Mets, Braves, I'm inclined to watch that one a little bit more, with the anticipation that, well, I can give up 2.5 hours more so than 3.5, 4.5 hours to watch a game. Yeah. If that trend continues, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm there too. I love it. I loved every second of it. So I this one, you know, this story is brutal, but you remember the Oscar Pistorius thing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So this guy was the Paralympic runner who was incredible. He had the prosthetics and like ran the 400 in crazy time, and the guy was unbelievable. So his girlfriend was this beautiful model. There was this just bizarre shooting that went down. She was in the bathroom, and he was firing into the bathroom.
Through the door, stuff
through the door,
like
and
yeah.
you know, sadly, he shot her. She died. He claimed he thought it was an intruder in the house, got woken up in the middle of the night, grabbed his gun, and just started firing. Didn't know what was going on. Her family fought it vehemently. I think initially he didn't get any jail time. Then it went back with appeals, and he ended up getting 10 years. So this was in 17, somewhere around there. So he tried to get parole for time served prior to the trials or whatever. And the courts in South Africa denied it. So he's still locked up. And he can reapply for parole, whatever they call it. You go up for parole again. Next August is the next time. Yeah.
August of 24.
August of 24. Yeah. He could be out that soon. Yeah. He could be out that soon. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a awful, just awful.
That is, man. You hear some of the backstories about the tension between relationships. It led prosecutors to believe there was something more to it than what he was saying. And you hear the other stories about they wanted to make an example out of him because of his national prominence,
right,
and things like this. We'll never know. Only he knows if it was accident or deliberate. He's the only one who will ever know this. And it's unfortunate that a young lady lost her life in this, and the family has to deal with this tragedy for the rest of their lives. Interested to see how this plays out. If he gets out early, there's going to be a firestorm behind this.
Yeah, so it had happened in 2013. He was initially,
10 years ago. Wow.
I know, he was convicted of culpable homicide, a charge comparable to manslaughter, in 2014. But the case went through a number of appeals, and including by the prosecution. He was finally sentenced in 2017 to 13 years. Okay, so that was 6 years ago. He got 13 years. So serious offenders in South Africa have to serve at least half of their sentence, and they're claiming that it wasn't half. The court is. His side was. So he can come up again for parole August of 24. Her whole family was there, fighting against it, as you would expect. The whole thing. But anyway, what a mess! What an absolute mess. All right, let's get some birthdays in here, Derek. You ready? Do a little birthday.
The birthdays. Okay. Let's see here.
All right. I'll start with Jordan Mailata, the big guy.
Yeah.
He's 26 years old today. Jordan Mailata, the one of the all-time discoveries by the Eagles. Rugby player, ends up coming over here. It takes a couple years, but eventually they get him going, and he's, it's a crazy story, man. It is a crazy story. Let me get this before we get there. All right. From Gigi.
I saw this. Yes.
You're in a boat that's sinking. You have to kill one, save one. Who would you save? I'm so not answering that.
I ain't touching that one. I can't touch it.
Get out of here, Gigi. Good try.
I ain't touching that one.
I like the question, though. It's a good one. Gordie Howe.
The fact that you're even thinking about that question makes me nervous.
Yeah, it does. It does worry me a little bit. I'm not thinking about it.
No, I don't know. You brought it up. You put it up there. That means
I didn't bring it up. Gigi brought it up.
What is Rob thinking here?
I thought it was funny. 1928, Gordie Howe was born.
Yes.
The second to Gretzky, in my opinion, as the greatest hockey player that's ever lived. But what an unbelievable career he had.
26 seasons, 25 with Detroit.
Yeah, 50 playing into his 50s. Played with his sons. He's trying to do what LeBron's doing. I mean, he did what LeBron's trying to do. Play with his son. By the way, LeBron's son still hasn't decided where he's going to go. He still hasn't named the school. There, it looks like the NBA with the new CBA that they're going to put in is still going to require kids to be a year removed from high school.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Johann Bach, the great composer and musician, born on this day in 1685. The great Christopher Walken, who is one of the all-time characters and actor, dancer, the whole thing. He's a different dude, Christopher Walken, but he's
absolutely
82. Angus Young of AC/DC fame, 68 years old today.
He's the last original member still alive.
Yeah, I know.
And I know he was 5'2". He's only
5'2".
5'2", but I do. What really got me when I first started listening to AC/DC was how he's always doing this when he's playing the guitar.
Yep.
And the legs bopping.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? Stop right here for a minute. Ask Barrett that question. I'm curious.
What's that?
All right.
I'll
pull it back up. Back up.
Don't say anything. I want to hear this.
Okay. Rob Degon, Barrett are in a boat sinking. You have to kill one and save one. Who would you save?
I gotta kill one to save one. We're all going down with the ship, man. We're all going down with
that's what we all. That's what
all
we
for
all
one,
said.
one for all.
Yeah, we all.
That's what Rob and I said while you were away, man. I'm like, I'm not answering that question.
I'm not answering that. No.
Yeah, we all got to go down together.
See, we're simpatico. We rib each other, but we're simpatico.
That's it. All right, we're in the middle of birthdays, Barrett. So Cesar Chavez was born on this day in 1927. Did so much for migrant workers and whatnot. He was born on this day, 1927. Jack Johnson, the boxer, born in 1878, was a guy who would have been heavyweight champion of the world, but existed in a world of segregation and just a much different time.
He was known as the Galveston. Well, he was the first black heavyweight champion.
He was. You're right, but he would have been much more celebrated and had a lot more success and money had he, been born at a different time. Richard Chamberlain, the actor, was born on this day in 1934 in a lot of stuff. Shirley Jones from the Partridge Family and her own career is 89 years old today.
From
Perlman.
Charleroi, PA, which is right outside of Pittsburgh.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Rhea Perlman. Oh, did I? Oh, sorry.
Rhea Perlman. Oh, man.
From Cheers. I hit the keyboard there. Rhea Perlman from Cheers is 75 today. Was married. I think they're divorced. Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Molly Kiram, who was on the Stephen A. Smith show. She's the host.
Oh, First Take.
First Take. Yeah, that's right.
I think formerly married to Jalen Rose. I think. But
wait, they got divorced?
I don't know.
I thought they were still married.
Sure, are they still married?
No, I don't know. I thought they were.
I don't know.
Strong, Rob.
Yes.
100%. Dank Burrito, he jumped in real quick. Strong.
Yes. Correct. Yes. Okay. They got divorced. In December of 2021, TMZ announced that Rose had filed for divorce. And
really?
After being separate, man, they didn't last long. They got married in 18.
Yeah.
They were separated for a year by 2021. I don't know. Okay. That's their business. So, but yeah, I'm actually like, she has a tough job with all the screaming and yelling. She tries to keep everything on point. William Daniels, who was in St. Elsewhere, he was the voice of Kit from Knight Rider.
Get the heck out of here.
Yes, he was that voice. Michael, or was that his name?
Yep.
Michael. I think that's what it was. Anyway, he's 96 today. Gabe Kaplan, not Kapler, the former Phillies manager. Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter, is 78 today. Mr. Cotter. He is
Welcome
78.
back.
Yes,
Your
one of the great
dream
theme songs
was
for any
your
TV show.
ticket out.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, that's all I got. Birthdays. What do you guys have?
You didn't get the Eagles players?
I got my Lotta.
Yeah, you
Did
got my
another
Lotta.
one?
Maddox also.
Yep.
Oh, is
Avante
Avante
Maddox,
today?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Avante Maddox 27 today.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
So
That's good. Gunner, how about you? What do you got?
Former Eagle Marcus Smith, 31 today. The first round, I don't want to call him that. Can't say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor, the actor, very good
Yes.
actor. Harley Quinn, Star Wars is 52.
Yeah, he's very good.
You have Yannick Ngakoue, NFL player, 28.
That's right.
The fashion designer Liz Claiborne is 78.
Okay.
Former NFL executive Scott Pioli is 58.
Mm.
The great hockey player Pavel Bure is 52.
He was great.
Former NFL wide receiver James Jones is 39.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this name, J.R. Reed.
J.R. Reed, former North Carolina player.
Yeah.
NBA player.
He's 55 already.
Wow.
And Ed Marinero. Remember Ed Marinero? Former NFL player, actor.
Yeah. He was like in the top 5 in the Heisman his year in college. He played at Cornell, I want to say, or I think an Ivy League team.
Yes.
School.
Oh, and don't forget Al Gore, former vice president to Bill Clinton. He's 75 today.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
I didn't realize he was on the birthday list. I'm looking up Ed Marinaro now. Let's see. Where did he play?
I thought it was Princeton, Harvard,
Cornell.
Like that.
It was Cornell.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he was Joe Coffey on Hill Street Blues.
Hill Street Blues. That's right.
Hill Street Blues. What great show. Hill Street Blues.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, that the piano.
Yeah.
The cop car pulling out of the garage.
Yep.
Yep. All right, movies. The Matrix, 1999. We got some good ones. This day. Tommy Boy with Chris Farley.
That was
great
fun.
movie.
95.
Yep.
Yeah. High Fidelity, which is a really good underrated movie.
Yes.
From 2000. 10 Things I Hate About You, 1999. Boss Baby, 2017, which is a good one if you haven't seen that one. ATL in 2006 is a good one.
Yep.
I got one that's an underrated, and if you haven't seen it, go back. It's very quirky, but it's good. Heathers from 1989 with
Never
Christian
seen
Slater.
that.
It's Christian Slater and what's her name? She dated Johnny Depp. Somebody in the chat will know. Oh God, I'm drawing.
Did you guys know Tony Yayo from G Unit?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Turned 44 today.
He's 44. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I miss
Tony
any
Yayo.
movies you guys
Oh,
had?
Ice Age, The Meltdown, 2006.
Okay.
And Doris Day classic, Please Don't Eat the Daisies, 1960.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Barrett, any movies on your
You
or
know,
any
I
other
never-
birthdays on your list?
I never do the movies. I just do this. But hey, by the way, let me tell you why I had to go.
What happened?
Police knocking at my door. That's why. I had to leave.
Oh, finally, I told them where you live.
What
my
happened?
my dogs got out.
Oh.
Guy cut the grass. The dogs got out, and my dogs look vicious, but they're not. So my the big one, my pit bull, he's at the door with the police officer. You know what I'm saying? Sitting there looking at me. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. Look at the police officer. He looks at the dog and then looks at me. He said, "I know this belongs to you." I was like, "Thanks." So hey, shout out to Voorhees Finest. Brought my dogs back to me. Then I have a dog
tag on him.
No, he just I don't know.
Yeah, you're lucky, man. You know,
really. And then my dog she's a bully, but she looks like a potbelly pig. You know what I'm saying? Like she's only like 2 inches from the her belly from the ground when she's walking. Yeah, bro. She like waddles in. She didn't want to come up the steps, so I got to go down there and pick her up and bring her upstairs.
Oh.
Yeah, dog. She's but hey, they're my babies, man. So I get them back in the house and everything. I'm sitting there looking at them. Now my big dog know that he did something wrong.
Yeah, right.
So he's looking at me, and I just point at the cage, and he goes, "Go to the cage," and he goes to the cage. My other one, Potbelly Pig, she's sitting there looking at my name. She's just sitting there like, "Come on now, Bonnie, get in the cage. Just get in the cage." Just that she's still standing with her tag willing. Get in the cage. Go ahead. She don't want to get in the cage. I'm like, oh man, forget it.
I hear you. That is it's a bad feeling, man. When one of them got out, that is woof.
Because number one, it could be hurt or you know, when your dog get hurt, or they could take it away, you know, or
Oh, yeah.
something like that. Or like they might bite somebody or something. You never know.
A lot of bad stuff could happen.
Yeah.
A lot of bad stuff.
You know, especially with pit bulls, man. A lot of times it's shot on sight, dude.
Yep.
You know,
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
yeah. You got to be careful with, you know, people are. There's like 10 dogs in the category of, if you have to, put them down. You know, if you feel it threatened, put them down just by a menacing look. You know, so
but
lucky,
you know,
man, the police knew. Did the police know you?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
That's good, man.
What does that mean?
I'm not surprised.
I'm on TV, dog, 5 times a week from 6 to 6:30, bro. That's how they know me, not from anything I've done.
Oh my God,
man! I mean, what type of friends are
you gonna go out like that on a Friday, man?
Friends like these, man.
I'm going out swinging. Yes,
Right.
I came in swinging. I'm going out swinging.
That was a low blow.
Yeah,
low
man.
blow.
All right, well, we got it. We got it.
Real quick. Speaking of dogs, so we had friends over yesterday for dinner, right? And we got this 12-pound Chihuahua. And one of our friends, a woman, I'm going to go pet the dog. I said, don't pet that dog because he'll nip your finger. And so somehow my son-in-law was let the dogs out so he could feed all the dogs. And this Chihuahua slick, man. He eats and gets past the gate. And a friend of mine, he gets up to go towards the bathroom. Chihuahua meets him in the hallway, man, and is up on his hind legs. If he was about a foot taller, he'd have been gone for his belt buckle, man. I'm telling you, we're trying to take the dog off of him, man. You know, he didn't bite him, but he was like snapping at him. And I'm thinking, put that dog back in the crate now, or he's going to be homeless in about 30 seconds, man. But luckily, my friend has, you know, he has dogs. He understands dogs. He's just standing there laughing. Like, you know, what this little dog going to do to me, you know? But this dog was like foaming at the mouth trying to get to him, man.
I hear you, man. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. I want to thank Tone DeShields. Tone, great job producing the program.
Appreciate it, Tone.
Thanks, everybody in the chat section for participating in the show. Everybody listening, everybody streaming. We do appreciate you very much. Don't go anywhere because you have the National Football Show with Dan Cilio coming your way next 3 hours. So for Gunner, for Barrett, I'm Rob. See you guys Monday at the weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. We are Sports Take.
He's out.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.